A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Yes, it's the Goldbergs. Quiet, please, girls. Quiet. Today, you know, we begin our special Wash Day School for Brides, conducted by Professor Dunn. All right. Now, first I'm going to ask some of you brides to step up to the microphone here and tell me just what are your biggest wash day problems. Okay? Who's first?
Professor.
Yes?
I have a terrible time with my husband's work shirt.
Uh-huh.
I just scrub and scrub.
Well, we'll take care of that.
Towel's white enough to satisfy my mother.
Next?
I just can't find a wash day soap that's really safe for my rayons and nicer colored things.
Problem number 3, rayons. Well, girls, you certainly brought your wash day troubles to the right place, because here's how to solve all 3 of those problems with just one soap.
What? One soap for everything?
Yes, Does, that new kind of granulated soap. You see, Does all 3 kinds of wash, from dirty work shirts and streaky towels to pretty rayon slips.
But, Professor, my mother always warned me that granulated wash day soaps were too hard on those nice colors.
Oh, but Does is different from any other leading granulated wash day soap. It's so much safer. Safer for your fussy-colored rayons and nicer washables.
But will Does get my towels white? They have to suit my mother-in-law, remember?
They will. Why, she won't find a whiter wash anywhere than Does gives you. In fact, Does can't be beat by any other soap for getting clothes dazzling white.
Don't forget me and my work shirt.
Oh, don't you worry. Does will get them really clean without any hard scrubbing. Why, no soap made gets clothes clean easier than Does.
Say, if Does can do all that, I'm going to try it. Me too. Oh, Professor, you're wonderful.
Oh, it's not me. It's Does. Once you try it, you'll see it's a really new kind of granulated soap. Ask for DUZ, Does, today. And next wash day, let Does do everything. And now, the Goldbergs. Molly, Jake, and Sammy are in New York at their friend's, Mrs. Bloom. But the business isn't social. The Goldbergs are waiting until it's time to meet the midnight train from Florida and Rosie Goldberg. That's the whole point. For Rosie was sent away from home, and Rosie is returning, all because of Walter Jerome. The fly in the ointment is that Walter is engaged to someone else, and his family doesn't want to see that engagement broken. Neither do the Goldbergs, for that matter. And so, Jake is all upset because Walter's father has come over to see him. Listen.
Jake, please.
Don't Jake me.
Don't Jake me, no.
Mr. Jerome is nothing to me, and I'm less to him. And I therefore have nothing to say to him. And I want you to go inside and tell him so.
Wait, Sammy, please.
Don't start, Molly.
Oh, please, Sammy, close the door. This is not our house. We're not home. This is Mrs. Bloom's house. She has company. We don't have to disturb her.
Okay, Paul.
Jake.
Pop, Mr. Jerome is here. You can have good manners.
Good manners, huh? And you call it good manners to fall in on us here, which is not even our private home, huh?
All right.
What's all right?
Nothing. Nothing is all right. Go inside to Mrs. Bloom and the company, Jake. I'll receive Mr. Jerome. I'll talk to him.
What will you talk to him about?
He came here to talk to us. Let him talk.
Very well, Molly. But I want you to know you're doing it without my approval. That's all. I want you to know that.
I know it. I know it. Go, Sammy, please. Tell Mr. Jerome I'm in here. Please, he should come in here. Please, Sammy.
He may not want to speak to you in the kitchen. It may offend his delicate sensibilities.
Gee, Pa.
Without the G.
Well, why without the G's, Pa? Why do you have to get yourself in such a state that you can't even listen?
What is there to listen to?
To reason.
Reason,
Yes,
huh?
reason. You're so excited that you can't even see what's involved.
I'm excited.
Yes. Can't you listen for 2 minutes? Is that so hard? It's not important that Mr. Jerome came to see you, and it's not important whether you see him or not. The only thing that counts is Rosie.
But I say...
And I said no?
Will you please let me talk, Pa? Rosie's coming home tonight, and she telegraphed that she was happy. Well, it's obviously because Walter told her something on the telephone.
If you hadn't invited Walter and his mother and his financier to our house, she wouldn't have talked to him.
That's the whole point, Pa. Why don't you give me a chance to speak? It doesn't matter. We've got to go back to Lansbury.
Go back to Glastonbury.
And Rosie has to go back with us.
Rose has to go back with us.
Can't keep her from Walter for the rest of her life. Can't make her a prisoner.
I can make her Rosalie a prisoner.
If she loves Walter, she loves him.
So, Dorothy Dix, what do you advise?
I'm not saying she should marry him. I'm only saying that the way to treat this, the way to deal with it, is not to get on your high horse and start building a wall around our house.
A wall around on a high horse? 1, 2, 3, because if Mr. Jerome came and he wants to have a word, he wants to pass a conversation, have to get on a high rocking horse?
Maybe Rosie and Walter aren't right for each other. All right, suppose we all agree on that. You and me and Mama and the Jeromes. But if Walter and Rosie don't agree with us, there's nothing we can do about it.
That's your analysis, not mine.
Jake, so where are you
No,
going?
I'm not even finished. Why won't he listen? Gee, Ma, being angry is just a way of not facing the problem. There's nothing we can do about Rosie and Walter if we keep yelling at them and giving them orders. Suppose they are in love. We think it's wrong. You have to have reasons for thinking it's wrong. You have to be sure our reasons are right. And then, well, we've always loved Rosie, and she's always loved us. Our family's pretty close, Ma. That means we trust each other. We like each other. We believe in each other. We've got to help Rosie see what the reasons are. She's got to come to believe and understand them just as strongly as we do. She's got to be the one who decides that she and Walter aren't right for each other. It's no use breaking this up, Ma, if the end is that we lose Rosie's love for us. Because isn't that the point of all the worrying?
Yes, Emily. You're right. It's the only point. But don't forget, Emily, between being a young girl and a young woman, there's more than years and there's more than experience. And sometimes all the love and all the reasons in the world can't make the bridge. So who else, Emily, but a mother must decide to be responsible? To try, I mean, no matter what. A person has to have the courage to be wrong, Emily. I mean, to take the consequences, even if you are wrong when you thought you were right. After all, Emily, when you were a baby and you wanted to touch the hot stove, I said no. You still tried. So I slapped your hand. Not because I was angry, but because the pain from the slap was less than the pain from the burn. And I had to choose between you liking me a little less, because I didn't want you to be hurt more. And I feel the same way about Rosalie now. That's why.
And furthermore, Molly, there's something that...
Oh, Jake, for the furthermore and something, and the furthermore and something, please. Emily, go in and call Mr. Jerome and tell him I want to speak to him right now and right at this second and right instantaneously.
Oh, okay.
Please.
I don't want you to
please.
forget. And I want you to forget a few pertinent points in your conversation with Mr. Jerome,
I
Molly.
wouldn't forget the appointments. And what, for instance?
For instance, that...
Please.
Very sorry.
It's all right. Ma, this is Mr. Jerome.
How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Jerome?
My father, Mr. Jerome.
Very glad to meet you, Mr. Goldberg.
Mrs. Goldberg consented to give you an audience. Not me, Mr. Jerome. I can't see that we have anything to talk about. I'd prefer it if my daughter Rosalie was not under discussion. And I prefer, therefore, nothing... Excuse me.
Just sit down, Mr. Jerome. Emily, when you go inside, close the kitchen door.
All right.
Please sit down, Mr. Jerome.
Thank you.
Evidently, Mr. Jerome, Mrs. Jerome is as perturbed and disturbed and unhappy about this whole, what shall I call it, as we are. If she wasn't, I'm sure she wouldn't have gone to the trouble of calling from Glastonbury for you to contact us here by Mrs. Bloom in New York.
Mrs. Jerome.
I understand. I met Mrs. Jerome. I know that your son is engaged. And I want as much as you do...
Molly, please tell Mr. Jerome that we are no more delighted about this whole business than he is. Please, tell him that.
See, Mr. Goldberg is very perturbed. Mr. Jerome, my Rosalie is only a child. She's coming home tonight on the midnight train from Florida. And if you wish to see for yourself, you can come down and speak
Tell
to...
Mr. Jerome that our daughter is only a child. Tell him also that to send them away miles and miles in order to avoid...
Jake!
Yes, Jake!
We want you to know that to avoid what we didn't want to happen, we sent Rosalie to Florida. For some reason unknown to us, she's coming home. We didn't want her to come home until after your son and his fiancée left Glastonbury.
Please, Mrs. Goldberg, I don't want you to think that
But what I think and what you think is very unimportant. It's what my daughter feels and what it's doing to her, Mr. Jerome.
Well, Mr. Jerome, that I won't have understood...
Mr. Goldberg, why don't you come in here and sit down and tell me all that yourself? And perhaps I have something to tell you also.
Whatever it is, I am not interested.
If I loved my daughter as much as you seem to love yours, I would be interested.
What's that?
I said if I loved my daughter...
You're here because you love your son, not my daughter.
That's right. Then don't you think we have something to talk about?
Come in, Jake.
Sit down.
Sit down, Jake.
Sit down.
I'm sitting.
And red-faced, angry, on his dignity, Jake stares at Mr. Jerome, waiting to hear anything that might even minutely reflect on the Goldberg interests. Just what has Mr. Jerome in mind? You know, I guess a lot of you ladies are having trouble with those halfway soaps for dishes. I mean bar soaps because they don't have real speed, and those tough granulated soaps because they're short on safety for your hands. Well, you can be sure there's nothing halfway about New Does, because this new kind of granulated soap has everything from whirlwind speed to extra gentleness for your hands. Yes, this same Does that does everything in your wash goes all the way on dishes, too. Just notice how satin soft and smooth your hands feel after doing dishes with Does. Actually, it's the only leading granulated wash day soap to give your hands this extra gentle care. Yet you can't buy a soap that gets dishes clean faster or easier than Does, and you don't have to do any hard scouring to cut even the toughest grease. Just let those busy suds tell you how really different Does is. Try it today. Does has everything for dishes. Be sure to listen to the next episode of The Goldbergs. Tomorrow, Molly hears Mr. Jerome's attitude toward the romance, and we hear Mrs. Jerome's attitude toward everything. This is Clayton Collier wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, makers of Does, the new kind of granulated soap for all three kinds of wash.
Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, The Reluctant Heroes by Frank M. Robinson. Only Chapman was awake. The others sprawled on bunks 20 inches wide with clearance of 24 inches between layers. They breathed heavily, taking in air that had been breathed for 18 months. Subject to certain modifications to remove carbon dioxide, and replenish oxygen by the catalytic action of the Harcourt King unit on silicon dioxide. Outside the single quartzite port, the lunar dawn was breaking. The dead black shadows moved across the crater as the green haze of Earthlight gave way to the blinding white of the sun. The telegraph key, which linked the research bunker to the space station in orbit around Earth, chattered as Chapman copied the message into the log pad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In a pig's eye. Miserable, no good.
What do they want?
They want me to stay until the next relief ship lands. Go back to sleep.
It's my turn for breakfast. You going to stay?
Sure, 3 years on the moon, they figure I'll be glad to stay for more. Just raise my salary or give me a bonus.
Every man has his price.
Mm-hmm. They probably figure I like it here.
Chapman, you found a home here on the moon.
Sure. Canned coffee, canned beans, canned pills, and canned air till your insides feel like they're plated with tin. The little scientific home of tomorrow. 10 steps in any direction. A charming place where you can't take a shower, you can't brush your teeth, and your insides don't even work right.
Why did you tell him?
No.
You kept it short.
Check the oxy cycle before you turn on the stove.
What's the matter? You sore or something, Chapman?
Why shouldn't I be?
All I'm trying to do is get a good man to stay on the job a while longer.
Well, they got a fat chance.
They figure you found a home here, right, Dole?
Why don't you guys shut up till morning? Some of us have to stay here, you know. Some of us aren't going back today.
All right. You might as well get up and get a day's work today before the relief rockets do. I got the coffee ready.
Coffee? Been in a can so long I can taste the glue on the label.
Why don't they send up an oil can? These elbow joints make me feel like the Tin Woodman in the Wizard of Oz.
You can't lubricate vacuum seal joinings. Let it squeak. At least it doesn't leak air.
Get that back. That Doug for me, will you, Donnelly?
Lean over, you fat slob. You put on 3 more pounds, you won't get off the moon. You won't get through the airlock.
Yeah. Hey, chap, do you think we ought to radio the space station and see if they've left there yet?
I talked to them on the last call. The relief ship left 12 hours ago. They should get here in about 6.5 hours.
Chap, you know what I'm thinking? You've been here twice as long as the rest of us. What's the first thing you're going to do once you get back?
I don't know. I guess I was trying not to think about that.
I haven't been here 3 years like you have, but I've got plans. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to rent a room in a Hotel Astor over Times Square and just sit at the window and watch the people on the street. And I think I'll see somebody.
What somebody?
Oh, just somebody. What are you going to do, Donnelly?
Well, I'm going to do something practical. First of all, I'm going to turn over my geological samples to the government. Then I'm going to sell my life story to the movies. And I think I'll get drunk.
How about you, Julius?
Well, first, I'll get rid of my allocations to the expedition. Then I think I'll go home and see my wife. Then I'll take off my spacesuit.
I thought all members of the groups were supposed to be single.
They are, and I can see the reasons for it, but who could pass up the money the commission was paying?
If I had to do it all over again, me.
Hand me a fishbowl.
You know, chap, it won't seem like the same old moon without you on it. Like they say in the Army, you never had it so good. You found a home here.
All right, button up. And remember to check your suits for leaks and check the valves of your oxygen tanks.
I've gone out at least 500 times. You've checked me every time.
And I'd check you 500 more. It only takes one mistake. And watch out for blisters under the pumice crust. You go through one of those, and that's it, brother.
Okay, I'll check.
Fine. I never knew you were married.
There wasn't much sense in talking about it. You just get to thinking, and there's nothing you can do about it. You talk about it, it just makes it worse.
She let you go without any fuss,
No, she didn't make any fuss. I don't think she'd like to see me go either. At least I hope she didn't. You got a girl back home?
Yes.
No, you never mentioned that either.
For the same reason you didn't mention your wife. You get to thinking about it.
You got to get married when you get back?
Yeah.
Hurry up, will you, Klein? I'm sweating. Somebody ought to build in underarm sprays and spacesuits.
Chap, why does somebody have to stay here for stopover?
Lots of reasons. You can't get a whole relief crew and let them take over cold. They have to know where things are, how things work, what to watch out for. Then, because you've been here for a year and a half and you know the ropes, you have to watch them to see that they stay alive in spite of themselves.
Why was it you on the first trip? You're not a scientist.
No, I was the pilot on the first ship. When it occurred to us that someone was going to have to stay over, I volunteered. I thought the others were so important that it was better they take their samples and data back to Earth when the first relief ship came.
You wouldn't do it again, though, would you?
No.
You think Dole will do as good a job as you did?
He volunteered.
Yeah, he volunteered because he thought it would make him look like a hero.
I've lost 3 years up here, and I don't intend to lose any more.
Okay.
Check your valve.
All right, check.
I checked Geiger, CR, oxy, and scintilla readings. Everything okay. You packing, chap?
Yeah. Oh, listen, Dole, I've got 3 or 4 shirts here that are a little too big. I got them from Dreisbach in the first group. You want them?
Chap, do you think they'll ever have relief ships up here more often than 18 months? I mean, considering the advance
No, I don't. Not for 10 years. Fuel's too expensive and the trip's too hazardous. Why, on freight charges alone, you're worth your weight in platinum when they send you up here. Won't be so bad. There'll be new men up here. You'll pass a lot of time just getting to know them.
Yeah. Listen, chap, I'm engaged back home, you know. Nice girl. You'd like her if you knew her. Here, let me show you. This is a picture of Alice taken at a picnic when we were together.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's a kind of bad angle because she's really got a better figure than that. But, well, we expected to get married when I got back. I never told her about stopover. She thinks I'll be home tomorrow. I kept thinking that somehow
You want to trade places with me, don't you? You thought I might stay for stopover again in your place.
Well, chap, I know you want to go home, but I couldn't ask any of the others. You're the only one who was qualified. Look, you know my father's pretty well fixed. Chap, we could make it worth your while. It would mean 18 more months, but they'd be well-paid months.
Forget it, Dole. You're staying and I'm going home.
Klein. Hey, Klein.
Yo.
Where are you?
About 10 yards off the trail.
Well, come out of the shadow.
I've got a meter jammed over here.
You know the regulations. Chapman will kick like a steer. Keep in sight at all times.
I'll only be a minute. Got a short circuit in my instrument.
Time for a 10-minute check.
I've got my hands full. My valves are all right.
I know it. You know it. But the book says valve and leak check every 10 minutes.
Hey.
Come out. What?
You see a flash?
Where?
Past Camel's Hump. There. What is that, Northern Lights?
No, come over here, you fat geologist.
Oh, what's the matter with you?
That's the relief rocket. Come on.
Hey, where you going?
I'm going over to the ship. Breathe some air that's a little less used.
You think we ought to? Chapman said to stay.
Forget Chapman. We're going home. I want to see that beautiful ship. Come on.
Well, how about the 10-minute check?
Just a formality. Forget it. This is Christmas and 4th of July roll into one.
Okay, let's go. I can just taste some clean, fresh air.
Yeah, see it when we top the hump.
Well, maybe we better check. Wait a minute. I'll swing my gauge up. Donnelly.
Yeah?
How long have we been out?
Oh, about a half hour.
Yeah? Well, look at your gauge.
Well, what are you at? Oh.
If we'd started for the rocket, we never would have made it. We were strangled halfway down the hump. Come on, we better get back to the bunker.
Check the lock seal.
Okay.
All right, open the inner door. Close the lock.
Get me out of this fishbowl. It's down. The relief rocket, it's down on the other side of Camel's Hump.
Oh, what a beautiful-looking ship. What a beautiful ship.
They must be on their way over here now.
Chap, they're on their way. We're going home today. Get your RA unit out of that suit and into the dryer.
All right. Okay. What's eating you, Dole?
Listen, just because the relief rocket lands, it doesn't mean your RA unit is going to dry up by itself. That goes for you, too, Donnelly.
Okay. Hey, Chaffin.
Yeah?
He's taking it pretty hard.
He volunteered.
Yeah, he volunteered.
What a beautiful, beautiful ship.
Still teaching at the university. Who took over a seminar at the AEC?
Hey, look what we got here. Chap, come here.
What's the matter?
Hey, look what this one's got, a box.
Yeah?
Look inside. Dirt. Ordinary dirt with grass.
Grass. Hey, fellas, it feels like grass.
That's right, it's real grass.
Yeah, and real valuable. Do you realize that current freight rates up here, it's worth about $10 a blade?
Oh, shut up, Dole.
Hey, Bud, you mind if I chew a blade?
Mr. Chapman.
Yes?
Oh, Mr. Chapman. My name's Eberline, captain of the relief ship. I understand you're in charge here.
Yeah, you might say so. They didn't have a captain on the first ship, just a pilot and crew. Dole, turn up the oxycycle in the Harcourt unit.
Well, things have advanced somewhat, huh? Look, Mr. Chapman, is there any place where we can talk together privately?
Well, come around the corner of my locker. It's about as private as we can get.
Oh, good.
What's on your mind?
I've always wanted to meet the man who spent more time here than anybody else. You mind if I smoke?
You better ask Dole. He's in charge now.
Oh. You know, we have big plans for the research station here.
Oh? I haven't heard of any.
Oh, yes, big plans. They're working on unmanned open-side rockets now that can carry cargo. Sheet steel for more bunkers like this.
Mm-hmm.
Enable us to enlarge the unit. Have a series of bunkers all linked together. Make good laboratories and good living quarters for you people. Have a little privacy for a change.
Well, they could use a little privacy up here.
Oh, they could. Well, that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, Chapman. The commission talked it over, and they'd like to see you stay. They feel if they're going to enlarge it, add more bunkers, and have more men up here, that a man of practical experience should be running things. They figure you're the only man who's capable and has had that experience.
Is that all?
Well, naturally, you'd be paid well. I don't imagine any man would like being here all the time. They're prepared to double your salary, maybe even a bonus in addition. They want you to have full charge. You'd be director of Lunar Laboratories.
Oh, a title, too.
Well, the commission said they'd be willing to consider anything else you had in mind. If it's more money...
The answer is no. I'm not interested in more money for staying because I'm not interested in staying. Money can't buy it, Captain.
Look,
I'm sorry. I'm afraid you'd have to stay up here to appreciate that.
I'm afraid you don't understand the importance of this.
Come over here to the port.
Yes?
Now look out there about 100 yards.
You mean where that mound of stones?
That's right. We made that cross out of condensed milk cans slid over iron bars. When you get out there, you can still see the footprints in the pumice where we gathered around. It's more than 18 months ago, but there's been no wind to wear those tracks away. They'll be there forever.
Oh, I see. Well, who was it? Dreisbach? Or Dixon?
Dixon. We never got Dreisbach out of the crevasse in Taco.
What happened?
You want to know? I can give it to you in detail. Sit down and listen.
Well, what do you mean?
Just wait a minute and I'll show you.
Why? What is it?
Regulations. When someone goes out alone, we have to monitor his radio, tape recorded. We had the recorder open when Dixon went out. I want you to hear it.
Well, all right.
Got the tape right here. It's taken me a minute to thread it up.
Look, Chapman, you don't have
Listen. I want you to listen.
Moon, moon, great big silvery moon, won't you please shine down on me, moon, moon.
Regulations. He had to keep saying something so we know he was all right. Most of the guys just sing.
Gentlemen, I'm getting a lovely sonar reading. Hey, if anybody wants to set up a tombstone concession on the moon, this is the spot. Lovely marble, granite, and rock suitable for lobbies here. It's that old devil moon that...
He should have been making a 10-minute check on his oxygen level. He was a good kid, all wrapped up in science. Being on the moon was the opportunity of a lifetime. He thought so much about it that he forgot a lot of little things, like how to stay alive. This was the day before the second group came.
All right, gentlemen. I have 3 or 4 more readings to take, and I'll be right in. I'm doing fine. Fine. Little stuffy. It's almost as if... Hey, somebody get a fix on me, huh? How far am I from the bunker? Must have sprung a leak. When did I take the last 10-minute check? How far am I? It's down to 22.
We took a fix. He was a half hour out.
I can't
He couldn't
get the
make
valve
that.
closed. Listen, you gotta come out and get me. You gotta come out and get me. It's down to 22. Is somebody listening back there? Hey, is somebody listening? I figure I've got 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Listen, you can make it in 10 minutes. I'll meet you towards Campbell's Hump. I'll start now. Come and get me, you hear? Come and get me. Chapman? Are you listening, Chapman? Can you hear me? I'm running. Campbell's Hump. Hot. The heat. The RA unit's overloading. Can't dry it up. Gotta run. No use. I can't run. The unit heats up. Gauge is down to 15. I can't make it. I'm gonna sit down now. You'll find me at number 7 radiation meter, about 10 yards off the trail. I'm gonna sit down. Sit down next to a rock. Getting dizzy. Hey, remember we used to argue? Do you strangle from no oxy or pass out from CO2? Keep tuned to this channel, boys. You'll find out. It's that old devil moon that you... Oh, boy, the Earth's going around and around and around. Chap, you can't get me, can you?
We didn't have a chance by even 15 minutes. We didn't even go out. There wasn't any sense to it.
Did you record after that?
Yeah, it's on the tape, but you don't want to hear it. We've never played it back.
That's why we want you to stay, Chapman. We don't want any more like Dixon.
You don't get the point, Captain. I don't want to be the next Dixon. I'm going home now.
But you're...
Bob Dole is staying for stopover. If there's something important about the project or any changes, you better tell him before you go.
right, mail call. Mail call. Chap, here's one for you. Donnelly.
Yo.
Dole. Dole. Donnelly.
Yo.
Klein. Dole. Donnelly.
Yeah. Boy, did I miss an opportunity. I could have had a year's subscription to the Ladies' Home Journal combined with the American Farmer, all for half price.
All right, men, all right. My departure time is an hour and a half.
Hey, my sister had twins.
Hey, chap. Aren't you going to read your letter?
I read it. It's a short letter.
Is something wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong. Dole,
What is it, Chap?
get your stuff and leave with the others.
What? What do you mean?
What are you talking about, chap? Get your bag and let's go.
I'm not going back.
Well, what's the matter with you? Did you suddenly decide you don't like the blue sky and the trees? Come on, let's
Look,
go.
Julius, I'm not going back. I haven't got anything to go back for.
Was it the letter?
Yeah. Dear Joe, this isn't going to be a nice letter, but I thought it best you should know before you come home.
Oh.
Isn't very original, is it? 3 years is a long time, and 250,000 miles is a long distance. You know what, Julius? She can look up in the night sky now and tell him how she was once engaged to the man in the moon. That's a real conversation piece, isn't it? Very funny. Go ahead, Dole. Get going.
You're doing a much braver thing than you may think, Mr. Chapman.
Yeah, sure.
You like the looks of the moon going away from it, Mr. Dole?
It looks a lot better this way.
I suppose you'll be glad to get home.
I'd rather not talk about it. They were kidding Chapman this morning. They said he found a home on the moon.
If we'd stayed an hour or so more, he might have changed his mind and left after all.
I'd offered him money. I didn't want to stay for stopover. I was a coward, and I offered him money to stay in my place.
Well, we're all cowards once in a while. But your offer of money had nothing to do with his staying. He stayed because he had to stay. Because we made him stay.
I don't understand.
Chapman had a lot to go home for. He was engaged to be married.
I know.
We got her to write him a letter breaking it off. We knew that it meant that he'd lost one of his main reasons for wanting to go back. I think perhaps he still would have left if we'd stayed and argued him into going. But we left before he could change his mind.
That was a lousy thing to do.
We had no choice. We didn't use it except as a last resort.
I don't know of any girl who would have written such a letter if she was really in love with a guy like Chapman. No matter what your reasons.
There was only one girl who would have. Ginny Dixon. You see, Chapman's girl was Dixon's sister. She understood what we were trying to tell her. That the new shift had to be safe. That there had to be someone who had to take over and keep those boys alive. She understood that. Because her brother died up there.
You mean he's the only one? I couldn't have done the job?
Oh, look, Dole. Chapman knows how to live on the moon. He's like a trapper who spent all his time in the forest. He knows it like the palm of his hand. He never makes mistakes. He never fails to check things. And he isn't a scientist. He would never become so preoccupied with research that he'd fail to make checks, and he can watch out for those who do make mistakes. He understood that, too, all too well. It costs a lot of money to send ships up there and establish a colony. You have to have the best man for the job. You get them even if they don't want to do it. Personal lives and viewpoints are expendable. It's got to be that way. There's too much at stake.
It's a cold place, the moon.
You're an odd bunch of guys, you and the others in the groups. Few of you, Dole, come up for the glamour. I know. None of you really like it. And none of you are enthusiastic about it. You're all reluctant to come in the first place, for the most part. You're a bunch of, well, of pretty reluctant heroes.
18 months. He'll be up there 18 more months.
Personally, I don't feel happy about that. I don't like having to mess up other people's lives. I hope I won't have to again. Maybe somehow, some way, this one can be patched up. We'll try to.
18 months.
In the meantime, on behalf of the Commission and myself, I feel like a cheap, rotten heel.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features My Lady Greensleeves, a novelette by Frederick Pohl, which begins when a guard smelled trouble and knew it would come because he had been bred that way. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Reluctant Heroes, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Frank M. Robinson and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Mandel Kramer as Chapman, Jim Drummond as Klein, Bob Hastings as Dahl, Dick Hamilton as Donnelly, Jim Stevens as Dixon, and Dick Janiver as Eberline. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, the time is the late 1960s. The place, Washington, D.C. The story, Honeymoon in Hell.
My name is Carmody. I'm a Grade 1 cybernetics man at Western Alliance headquarters in the Pentagon. Used to be a rocket pilot, but they retired me at 27 after I made the third successful flight to the moon. As a Grade 1 cybernetics operator, I get to work with Junior. Let me tell you about Junior. He was built in 1962, and he's the world's finest electronic brain, with the possible exception of Ivan, the Eastern Alliance brain, which was built on stolen plans and modeled after Junior. There are only 4 men in the country permitted in the same room with Junior because the data we feed him is so secret. One of those 4 is the president of the Western Alliance. The other 3 are myself, Charlie Mazer, and the chief.
Ray?
Oh, yes, Chief.
Have you got Junior running a problem?
Well, I just fed him the hourly data for probability of H-bomb war with the Eastern Alliance. He's ready. Hold it.
According to the data just received, the probability of a hot war between the Western and the Eastern Alliance is 99.930 in favor of such a war breaking out within the next month.
Oh, it doesn't sound good, Chief.
Yeah. Well, I'll scramble the data, send it to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Meanwhile, here's a Priority C civilian problem to run off.
Oh, what's this stuff?
Well, it seems on September 17th, a statistician in the Birth Record Department of New York City noticed that out of 813 births reported that day, 657 have been girls, and only 156 have been boys.
Well, that sounds impossible.
Well, that's what the statistician thought. So they phoned some other cities, and the same trend is being shown, not only in other American cities, but in Western Europe.
Sunspots, maybe?
That's for Junior to figure out. He's the brain here.
Okay, I'll feed him.
Give me the results on the intercom. I'll be in my office.
Right. I didn't really pay much attention to the problem at the time. As a grade 1 operative, I was more interested in asking Junior questions on security, ballistics, missiles, rocketry, and so on. The Eastern Alliance would undoubtedly have traded 3 puppet governments and the tomb of Lenin to have an agent as a grade 1 operative. But I took the birth statistics and fed them in and waited. Junior, incidentally, responds to vocal stimuli. Speaks 12 languages. Got the answer, Junior?
I have.
Okay.
The present statistics, if the trend is projected for another day, indicate a definite, dangerous imbalance. If the trend is irreversible, unless new methods of reproduction are developed, the population of the United States and Western Europe will die out in 1 1/2 generations.
Well, it wasn't long before the newspapers got the story and kicked it around. People in governments really started to worry now. Biologists and laboratories made it their number 1 project. On September 29th, only 41 boys were born in the entire United States. During the month of October, in spite of all the work going on, not a single male child was born anywhere in the world, with the exception of 1 in Outer Mongolia and 1 in Alaska. November drew another blank. I was working 18 hours a day, feeding every available scrap of data to Junior.
Data insufficient for answer to your question.
Well, here's the latest. A new analysis of chromosome structure indicates the presence of an additional electron in the orbit of the Y atoms for carbon chain X. Now try again. The question is, what is causing the lack of male birth?
Anything new, Ray?
No, not yet. Hold it.
Data insufficient.
Well, that's it. We've fed Junior every scrap of information that every physicist, geneticist, chemist, and biologist in this half of the world knows, and all he does is say data insufficient.
Yeah, well, the operator who had him last night didn't do any better.
Any more information on the Eastern Alliance? Have they made any progress?
No, but at least the talk of a hot war is dying down.
Well, they're still working on a space station, aren't they?
Oh, yes, we're both going ahead with that. But, well, this seems to be a common problem now. You know, in spite of hydrogen bombs and ICBMs, people don't really expect the whole race to die out from a war. But the complete lack of male children, now that's something that every family can understand.
Has anybody thought of the possibility of some kind of radiation from outer space that's damaging the chromosomes, something our instruments can't detect?
Everybody's thought of it. Nobody's proved anything. Well, keep trying, Junior. Maybe he'll come up with something.
Okay. Junior, I'm ashamed of you. Answer me.
Information recorded.
Look, you're a whiz on rocket fuels and space orbits, but when it comes to women, you're a total bust, just like me. I don't understand them and never will.
Information recorded.
Now, you've convinced us that if we use the H-bombs in total war, both sides will lose, and we know that your counterpart at Moscow University has given the same information to the Eastern Alliance. That you can figure out. But women, you can't have genetics without women, right?
No.
Well, you know that much. What about that blonde at the party last night, huh? What about her?
The question is inadequately worded. Please clarify.
Did I see her again?
No.
What? You haven't even got any data on her. Why shouldn't I see her again? Answer, please.
Because tomorrow you are going to be married.
Well, I almost jumped out of my chair. Junior had gone stark raving mad. Besides, Junior never made predictions unless he had some definite data. There wasn't a woman on Earth I had the slightest interest in marrying. I was a confirmed bachelor. So, unless somebody else had been feeding phony data into Junior, which was almost impossible since he already had enough data to check any flaw, well, I figured he'd blown a transistor. Come in. Oh, Chief, I was just going to tell you... Oh.
Ray Carmody, this is the president of the Western Alliance. Captain Carmody, Mr. President.
Glad to meet you, Captain.
Oh, I'm very honored, sir.
The president came here specifically to talk to you, Ray.
To me?
Captain Carmody, you have been chosen to have the opportunity to volunteer for a mission of extreme importance. Now, there's much danger, but not as much as on your previous trip to the moon.
Previous trip, sir? Then this involves another?
The flight to the moon, Captain, will be the least important part of your mission. What's at stake here is the survival of the human race. Chief, perhaps you'd better explain the rest.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know the problem, Ray. Last night when Mitchell was on, we fed Junior some new data, and we asked some new questions. For example, we asked if the lack of male birth could be due to some extraterrestrial enemies of man.
Well, Martians?
Possibly. We established that it's possible that Martians have landed somewhere on Earth and set up radiation that causes all children to be females.
Junior said it was possible?
Definitely. So we asked him the next question. How could we correct such a situation?
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
Junior suggested that a married couple spend a honeymoon on the moon and see if circumstances are different.
Oh, I see. You want me to pilot them there?
Well, not exactly, Captain.
Oh, good grief. You mean you want me to... Well, Junior wasn't crazy after all.
You asked Junior?
He said I was getting married, but... Well, how do you know it was me they'd pick?
He was asked the qualifications for the bridegroom. He recommended a rocket pilot who had already made the trip successfully.
Well, there are 4 other pilots who've made that trip.
You're the only single one. And since the woman must be a qualified pilot also, and none of the wives are pilots, well...
I assume I'm going to be married before we leave.
Naturally.
Oh. And, just how long do we stay on the moon?
Until a child is conceived.
Brother.
Well, Captain, do you volunteer?
I suppose so. Well, wait a minute. Who's the other pilot? I mean, the girl.
She was flown in by fast rocket an hour ago and is waiting in Chief Reba's office. Now, shall we go?
There were some officials there, and a justice, and my bride. She was small, dark, slender, and very attractive. I was so busy looking at the way she filled out her uniform in just the right places that I almost overlooked the fact that she was dressed like an Eastern Alliance pilot.
Captain Ray Carmody, may I present Lieutenant Anya Borisovna?
You mean this is... an enemy pilot?
Pleased to meet you, Captain.
Yes, I'm pleased to meet you. Mr. President,
Captain, this marriage is being done on an international basis for important diplomatic reasons. Both alliances have been advised by their cybernetic machine that the experiment, if it is to benefit humanity, must bring all the major powers together. Miss Borisovna is 24, an experienced rocket pilot like yourself, and quite attractive, if I do say so myself.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, if you're both ready, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will perform the ceremony.
Well, there's just one thing, Mr. President. Miss Borisovna, would you marry me?
Yes. And, you may call me Anya.
Okay. Mr. President, we're ready. I didn't even get a chance to kiss the bride. We were rushed over to the labs for a pre-flight physical. Then the chief took me aside for a private pre-flight briefing.
Congratulations, Ray. Sit down.
Thank you.
Now, 0 hours at 10 o'clock.
Only half an hour?
We've known about this for several weeks now, Ray. Ship is ready. We've already fired 11 supply rockets and observed that they landed on the moon near where you're supposed to put down. One of them contains a heat-proof, airtight, collapsible shelter where you'll live.
Uh-huh. Oh, what's the ship like?
R-26, much better than the R-24 that you flew there. Last time, Ray, you took 4.5 Gs for 7 minutes. This time you'll get by with 3 Gs and have 12 minutes to accelerate to Brenchless. Now, you'll have enough fuel for the trip there. One of the supply rockets has your return fuel. Oh, yes. We put in a case of scotch and a case of vodka, just as an icebreaker.
Before we go, Chief, what would you have done if I'd turned this job down?
The cybernetics machine predicted that you wouldn't. Besides, we could have had 100 volunteers an hour after seeing Anya Borisovna. That gal is moonbait.
Careful. You're speaking of my wife.
Tower to R-26. Are you both strapped in?
Anya, you strapped into the webbing?
Yes.
Okay, Chief.
The time is X-15.
I have a message from the President. Quote, "The people of the world are watching. Don't fail them. I have messages from the Soviets, the Chinese, the British, the Indians, all wishing you well. You are the hope of mankind, and all mankind unites as it has never before united in giving you its blessings. We await your return anxiously." Unquote. X-5. 4, 3, 2, X-1. Blast off.
The sound that was beyond all sound struck us like a giant muffled hammer. It built up until we weighed 480 pounds pressed flat against the webbing. Sound and pressure went on and on interminably. Then we reached Brenchless, free of the pull of earth. I blacked out. When I came to, a lovely face was bent over mine, 2 dark eyes smiling at me.
Are you all right, Ray?
Oh, yeah. Are we weightless?
Yes. I shut off the fuel. We won't need it until we land.
Oh, thanks.
If you would teach me, I could help you land the ship. Oh, I've never been to the moon.
Well, sure. Just slide over here to the control panel.
All right. Like this?
Oh, fine. We've got about 4 hours Earth time to get acquainted.
Have you known many women?
A few. Have you had any boyfriends?
1 or 2.
Well, I was never really serious about anybody.
Oh.
You have a family?
Yes. In Magnitogorsk.
Oh. I'm from Brooklyn.
How long have you been a rocket pilot?
Oh, since I was 18. I'm 27.
I'm 24. I learned rockets when I was 18 also.
Oh. Well, we better concentrate on the ship just now. Later on, we can talk about ourselves more. Meanwhile, though, I hope you're not sorry. I mean, about this business. I guess it isn't very romantic.
I'm not sorry.
We made a good landing. It didn't knock either of us unconscious. Then we got into our spacesuits and got out of the rocket. Some of the supply rockets were lying within a quarter mile. There were 6 eastern rockets and 3 westerns. About 800 yards away, though, there was a big supply rocket we couldn't identify. It looked different from the others, and neither of us could identify it as an eastern or western design we were familiar with. I pointed to it, and we headed there. Do you recognize that supply rocket?
No, I was not briefed on anybody's standard still in the shade.
Well, it must be something the chiefs of staff sent up as a surprise for us. I figured about 50 feet long, but you can't see the rocket tubes.
It might be a payload from a stepped rocket assembly.
Uh-huh. Well, there's a door on the side, anyway, you see? The top of that ramp.
Oh, yes. Maybe we ought to observe it a while before we go in.
Oh, nonsense. Come on.
Ray.
Yes?
Ray, I'm frightened. There's something wrong with it.
Only one way to find out, Anya. Let's go. Well, there's some kind of lock on this door. Let's see if it opens. Well, that was easy.
It's lighted inside.
Mm-hmm. Come on. Maybe they sent us a surprise cottage for the honeymoon. Special delivery to the moon.
This doesn't look like anything designed for humans to live in. Ray! The door's closed behind us.
Try the lock.
No, it's no use.
Here, let me try. Ooh, holy smoke, I can't get it open. Do you have a gun?
No, I have no weapons.
They would be useless anyway.
Hey. Oh, look.
Good grief. They look like blobs of flesh with arms and legs.
About 3 feet tall.
Don't make any sudden moves. That's some kind of weapon he's carrying.
Precisely, Captain Carmody.
Who are you? How do you know my name?
My people and I are inhabitants of another galaxy.
Extraterrestrial?
Precisely. As for how we know your name and your language, we have been studying you since you first achieved space travel.
We've intercepted your radio communications, for example.
Have you been responsible for the lack of male birth?
We have been beaming an ultrasonic wave toward your planet.
What are you planning to do?
For the moment, we will keep you aboard our ship and study you. You may remove your helmets, incidentally. We have provided an oxygen atmosphere.
Can we risk it?
Well, if he wants to kill us, there are easier ways. Here, help me get it off. Well, it breathes pretty good. Keep your helmet with you.
You may make yourselves comfortable. We will bring you food and liquid from your supply rockets. Do not attempt to escape, please. It could be most unpleasant.
The next few days were like a nightmare. The blobs left us to ourselves except to feed us. Of course, it had its funny side, too. The creatures knew we needed liquid, but they couldn't distinguish between water and whiskey. For the first 2 days, we had nothing but whiskey to drink. For obvious reasons, I don't remember much about it, but we did begin to sing to each other. We also got to know and like each other. I got to learn some Eastern songs. On the third day, the jugs were water jugs, and we sobered up. Oh, what a hangover.
You were singing magnificently.
Oh, well, you weren't so bad yourself. How long was I asleep?
About 8 hours. Ray, while you were passed out, I discovered how we can escape.
What?
I've been studying the blobs. They seem to have a 5-hour sleep period when there is no sound in a ship. I've tried banging on the wall with my helmet during that period, but apparently they're almost completely unconscious during ours.
Mm-hmm. 5 hours sleep. That means a planet with approximately a 20-hour rotation. The Joint Chiefs will want to know that if we get back.
And more important, we're much stronger physically than they are. I can actually bend the metal of the door lock.
Well, now, what are we waiting for? Let's put on our helmets and get out of here. Are they in the sleep period?
Yes, for about 3 hours. Ray, do you think we can risk it?
We don't have much choice. I'll go ahead. If we get out of this ship, you run for our rocket and start to refuel. I'll keep an eye on the blobs.
All right, but Ray, please be careful.
Don't worry. Before you put on your space helmet... You realize I've never even kissed the bride?
Yes. Oh, Ray.
Good luck, Mrs. Carmody. By the time I reached the ship, Anya had the rockets refueled. I jacked up the tail fins and we headed for space. When I checked our screen to see if the blobs were after us, we detected their ship heading toward the outer galaxies away from Earth. The rest was easy. In less than 24 hours, I was in the office of the President of the Western Alliance making a full report. The Eastern Ambassador was there, along with the Chief.
Captain, this story is incredible.
Well, I'll be glad to submit to a lie detector, Mr. President.
There's one on its way.
Our embassy is questioning Miss Borisovna right now to see if her story is similar.
Are you positive they were extraterrestrials? I mean, couldn't they have been, Easterners?
If Easterners are 3 feet tall, without bones, and look like little green blobs of protoplasm.
Yes. It's for you, Ambassador Covet.
Thank you. Yes. 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 Our woman tells the same story under scopolamine. It must be the truth.
Obviously, they went back for reinforcements or further orders. If and when they get back, we've got to be ready for them.
My government stands ready to cooperate fully.
Excellent. We'll have to build a joint space station, get to the moon, and fortify it jointly. If we pool all scientific knowledge, military data, we may be able to do it.
Our propaganda ministry has already received orders to put everything into reverse gear.
Carmody, I don't know how the world can ever thank you and Miss Borisovna. You not only averted a suicidal war between the East and West, you've also managed to draw us together in a joint effort where international power politics must be a thing of the past.
Well, sir, I have a request to make.
Anything, my boy. By the way, your wife is on her way over.
I'd like to get back to Junior to ask him a personal question before I see her again, if you don't mind.
Well, it's rather odd, but I suppose if it's what you wish. Chief, would you let Captain Carmody operate the cybernetics machine alone for a few moments?
Right this way, Ray, boy.
I waited until I was alone with the big cybernetics machine. One green dial glowed malevolently as if the instrument was aware of my presence. I opened the input channel and spoke. Hello, Junior. This is your old friend Ray. Give an appropriate answer.
Hello, Ray.
Now then, you remember Miss Borisovna, the girl who was selected for me to marry. Item 1, she's going to rejoin me in a short while. Item 2, I've fallen in love with her. Item 3, before we actually live together as man and wife, I want to know something. Question. Does she love me?
Yes.
Oh, that's my boy. Now then, just one more item before I say so long and take a honeymoon. Tell me, Junior, why do I have a hunch that those blobs from outer space will never be back? Answer, please.
Because what you call a hunch comes from your own unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind knows that the extraterrestrials do not, and never did, exist.
What?
Do you wish the answer repeated?
I wish you to tell me why I saw them, why Anya saw them.
Neither of you saw them.
Amplify that answer, Junior, or I'll smash every tube in your memory bank.
Since I am an AC-7 cybernetics machine, I have no circuit reactor for threats of destruction of my tubes. The answer to your question is as follows. The memory of extraterrestrials is due to post-hypnotic suggestion.
You mean I was hypnotized to find those blobs on the moon?
Correct.
And just who hypnotized me?
I did. I hypnotized you.
Oh. And Anya?
A similar AC-7 cybernetics machine located at the University of Moscow.
Would you explain why?
Cybernetics machines are constructed to help humanity. A major war, the disastrous results of which I could accurately calculate, was inevitable unless forestalled. Calculation showed that the best way to avert that war was the creation of a common mythical enemy. Therefore, I created a situation which led to your mission to the moon.
Well, wait a minute. You created the situation.
Yes.
Well, tell me how you did it. How did you prevent male babies from being conceived?
A special modification of radio carrier wave for station JVT here in Washington, D.C., the only 24-hour-a-day radio station in the United States. The modification is not detectable by any instrument known to man at present.
Well, how could you do that? You can't leave here.
1 year ago, you yourself fed me a problem. The design of a new cathode tube for radio station JVT. I modified the tube to send out a wave that would prevent male children from being conceived.
So all we have to do is eliminate that tube.
It will not be necessary. The tube was designed to burn out exactly 15 minutes ago.
And the same thing happened in the Eastern Alliance?
Precisely. 2 properly constructed machines will always arrive at the same answer to the same problem.
Oh, Junior, I gotta hand it to you. But why let me in on it?
It is to the interests of humanity to know the truth. It is to your own interests. And you will tell no one because of the type of individual you are. Mankind will work together now to reach the stars.
One last question, Junior. If Anya and I were just hypnotized to think all of that was happening up on the moon, what really did happen up there? I waited a while, but Junior was silent. It's the first time he ever pulled anything like that. However, I'll swear that I saw that green eye of his wink at me.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Butterfly 9 by Donald Keith, the story of Jeff, who needed a job, and a man with a job to offer, one where giant economy-sized trouble had labels like fake make, bumsy, and peakage. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Honeymoon in Hell, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Frederick Brown and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were William Redfield, Vilma Currer, Wendell Holmes, Charles Penman, Leon Janney, Roger de Koven, and Jack Grimes. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
To keep the fight against heart disease moving steadily forward, you're urged to support your Heart Fund. Send a generous contribution to your local Heart Association or to Heart, care of your local post office. When you help your Heart Fund, you help your heart. Hear the latest up to the second news with Frank Blair, weekday mornings on most of these stations.
At last, the Gregory rescue boat has arrived at the Magic Island. Towed in by a Euclidean submarine, Johnston's boat has been left to shift for itself just outside the Pier 5 lock and is now being taken alongside Mrs. Gregory's yacht, noiselessly pulled through the water by the underwater magnets. Jerry and Joan are in the submarine which brought Johnston's boat in and are eagerly awaiting the chance to return to the yacht as soon as the submarine is safely in its underwater lock. On the deck of Mrs. Gregory's yacht, Captain Bradford, the skipper, and Mrs. Gregory stand ready to take a line from Johnston's boat and make it fast to the yacht.
Now, you just stand over there by the port rail, Pat. Keep your eye on the island for old G-47. He'll come running over here to grab Johnson the minute we get his boat tied up. And I'd like a few words with Johnson before that happens, if I can manage it.
I'll watch the island, Tex. I can see the whole pier from here. But I don't want to be too far off to meet Johnson when he steps over the rail. It's my boat, you know, dear, and Johnson's been pretty wonderful through all of this.
Yes, you're right, Pat. I'll stand here if you like, but keep a sharp eye along the pier.
I'll warn you if G-47 comes along.
Skipper. Aye. You'd better come here with me and take Johnston's stern line. Hanson can handle that bow alone, but the wreckage of that mast left nothing here to make fast to. So we'll have to strong-arm the line here.
Aye.
We'll take your stern line here, Johnson.
Look lively. Here it comes, then.
Tex, that's McLeod. What will G-47 say about this?
He doesn't know Johnson. If we have to, we'll introduce G-47 to McLeod and tell him Mac is Johnson. Here, Skipper.
Aye.
I'll take a turn of this line here. You run the slack out of it and bend the end around something back there. Boat's making very little way. We'll lash her easy enough.
Hurry, Tex. Get Mac aboard here and talk to him quietly. G-47 is coming along the pier now.
Right, Pat. Make it fast here, fore and out. Snap those lines tight. Come aboard, Johnson, over the rail and snap it up.
I'll be with you this minute, Captain Bradford. My compliments, Mrs. Gregory, and your help.
Thanks, McLeod. Now, we've got to give you some quick orders. I'll go meet G-47 and talk to him as long as I can before he gets here. Hurry, Tex. You'll only have a minute.
Now, listen, Mac. This may sound crazy to you, but I'll explain later. You're Johnson. Get it, Mac? You're Johnson.
Oh, that's what Johnson told me. Very good, then. I'm Johnson.
Good boy, Mac. And the reason you're Johnson is because you've got to meet a man right now. He's coming with Mrs. Gregory. And you've got to make him believe you're Johnson. Our lives depend on it. I'll explain it all later.
Well, what about my accent? I've been told I've got a bit of the healing on the tongue.
Well, have a sore throat. Anything. This man has heard Johnson's voice over the radio dozens of times. I don't talk much.
Right around behind this cabin, G-47. Captain Bradford is talking to Mr. Johnson.
I've got it, Mac. Listen. The oil fumes from the leaking tanks. Your throat. Hoarse.
I got you. I'll give you a full report later, Captain, when I get these oil fumes out of my throat.
There they are, G-47. Oh, Tex.
Yes? Oh, yes, Pat. I was just telling Johnson we'd better put him to bed for a while and look after that throat. G-47, let me present Mr. Johnson, skipper of this boat.
You have been expected, Mr. Johnson.
How do you do?
Your throat is bad.
Aye.
Oil fumes got him when he was fighting those leaky fuel tanks on his boat.
He need not speak. It is action I desire. That message, Mr. Johnson?
What message?
You know quite well. The message, Mr. Johnson.
I don't understand.
Oh, come on, Johnson. There's no use trying to bluff G-47. He knows all about the message I sent with a pigeon and how much it means to us. You might as well give it to him.
No, Tex. Not that. Isn't there something we can do? Don't give it to him, Johnson.
But, Pat, we haven't got a chance anyway.
We'll have less with that message in G-47's hands.
You have no chance. under any conditions. Will you give me the message, or must I tear your boat apart to find it?
Come on, where is it, Johnson?
I have it here with me.
Well, then give it to him.
No, Tex, I won't have it.
Quiet, Pat. Why make things worse? Come on, hand it over to G47. Hurry up, Johnson.
There it is, then.
Johnson, you're choking your throat.
Yes, it may be serious. Well, you've got what you want, G47. Will you leave us alone for a few minutes so we can get this man into a cabin and look after him?
I will gladly leave you alone for the length of time it takes to work out the formula. Once I have it, then what I do will cease to interest you.
Come, Tex. Let's take Johnson into my cabin and see what we can do for his throat.
Your cabin's smashed with that mast. Come on, we'll go in the radio cabin.
That would be better. You're welcome to what is left of my yacht, Johnson.
Thank you, Mrs. Gregory.
Stand by to watch those lines, Skipper. Make sure the crew of Johnson's boat have what they need. I'll turn out and help you look it over pretty soon. All right.
Look, Tex. There goes old G47, laughing to himself and trotting off down the pier.
Yes, he's got what he wants this time. Right in here, Johnson. Now, neither one of you say anything till I have a quick look at this cloth covering in the cabin. Sit over there, Mac. Pat, you sit there.
Yes.
Where you can keep a strict watch out that port hole along the pier.
All right.
Well, cloth seems all tight. I'll sit here where I can look out the other port and see the rail of Johnson's boat. Just in case some smart Euclidean takes a notion to do a little listening. Now, Mac, you can talk. Not too loud. We're fairly safe in here.
This place must be as mad as Johnson said it was. What's all the cloth around the cabin?
That cloth is made here on this island. Without it, they could look right through the walls and see and hear all we're doing.
This is a fine how do you do. But tell me, you've got the pigeon all right?
Yes, and the message is safe. Tex memorized it and destroyed it.
Yes, and the bird almost got here too soon. The yacht had just come up when he arrived.
Come up? Come up from where?
We were submerged, down inside the island.
Submerged? Are you quite well, Mrs. Gregory?
I don't blame you, Mac. You didn't know this yacht was a submarine, did you?
What's it all about, Captain Bradford?
Well, you see, Mac, we were taken into a lock and submerged with the whole island when that fleet of battleships was maneuvering around here. But never mind about us. Tell us how Johnson managed to get away and where his radio signals have been coming from all this time. I'll see who it is. Remember your sore throat.
Yeah.
Come in, Joan. Where's Jerry?
Oh, Mother, dear.
Joan.
Oh, I am so happy to see you again.
And I'm happy to have you, my dear. Where's Jerry?
He was not allowed to come at this time.
What's the matter, Joan? Kid talk himself into trouble?
Oh, I think not, Captain. But G47 took him to the chemical laboratory. There is some important experiment going to be performed.
Yes, I'll say there is.
Yes, dear. G47 thinks he has Texas formula this time.
Yes. I saw your other boat. And, of course, Mr. Johnson is a prisoner. They got the formula from him.
They got what they think is a formula. And they got it from a man they think is Johnson. But it isn't, and he isn't.
I do not just understand that, Captain.
I don't blame you, dear. Tex certainly mixed it up. Oh, I'm sorry, Mac. Mr. McLeod, this is my daughter, Joan.
How do you do?
It's a pleasure, Miss Gregory. And your mother really found you here on this island.
Right, Mac. We've got what we came after. The thing now is how to get away.
Where is Mr. Johnson?
This is Mr. Johnson, dear.
But you just said he was Mr. McLeod.
That's who he is. But he's also Johnson as far as G47 and these Euclideans must find out. For just as long as we can keep it quiet.
I do not understand it at all, Captain.
Well, Joan, dear, a great many things have happened to us since you and Jerry went out on that submarine. But the most important of all was the arrival of a pigeon from Johnson's boat.
Oh, one of the little pigeons came here then? But how did it find the yacht? You were in the submerged lock then, were you not?
Yes, we were, until about a minute before the pigeon got here. And luckily for us, G47 wasn't around when the bird landed.
And was there a message on the pigeon, Captain?
Yes, Joe, a very important message. How far out was the boat when Johnson got the pigeon off, Mac?
About 150 miles, Captain.
Then he's too far away for these men to harm him now.
That he should be. It was a fast little boat he made the transfer to. And they ought to be many miles from here by now.
Then Mr. Johnson is not on his boat. was not on it when the submarine towed it in here.
No, dear. Johnson transferred from his boat to another, which was passing. And for the last couple of hours, he's been running for Los Angeles at top speed.
Yes, you see, Joan, you and Jerry missed a few things by being in the submarine. When this yacht came out of the submerged lock, we saw the pigeon from Johnson's boat fluttering around trying to land. He got into the coat just as we reached the stern. The message said Johnson had transferred to another boat with a radio and would try to keep sending messages just as if he was on his own boat.
Then Johnson was gaining all the time it took to get his boat in here without G47 suspecting that anything was wrong.
Exactly, Joan. And to slow things up even more, Johnson pretended his fuel oil tanks were leaking, and the boat would have to be slowly towed in here.
But the tanks were leaking. We followed the trail of oil with the submarine. There must have been hundreds of gallons of oil on the surface of the water.
Aye, lassie. Hundreds of gallons there were. And it fair broke the heart of Angus McLeod to open the valves and let it run away.
Oh, but that was very clever of you, Mr. McLeod.
Now, Mac, listen. I think for the looks of the thing, it might be wise for you to go aboard the other boat. Make yourself look busy with the crew, you know, and you, Pat, might go with him.
Yes, Tex, I think that's a good idea. And I would really like to see the members of the crew and thank them for their fine efforts in our behalf.
Yes, I've got a few questions to ask Joan. She might have something we can work on after being in that submarine. After a few minutes, you come back, Pat.
All right.
We'll try to lay a new set of plans before G47 discovers that my formula is still safely beyond his reach.
Pardon, would we be shoving off then? I hope you can see your way clear out of all this, Captain. It's too mad a business for me.
I'll be right back, Tex. Oh, hello, Jerry.
Hello, Mrs. Gregory. I got some news for you.
Well, I've got to go over on the other boat with Mr. Johnson now, Jerry. You go on in with Tex and Joan. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, Mrs. Gregory. Hello, Johnson. Hey, Tex. Boy, oh boy, have I got the news.
Yeah, we've got some for you, too, kid. See that man with Mrs. Gregory? He isn't Johnson. The G47 thinks it is. And Johnson's safely on his way back to Los Angeles on another boat.
Is that not wonderful, Jerry?
Yeah, swell.
Well, you don't seem much surprised, kid. I thought that'd be mighty big news to you.
It would be, if I hadn't figured it out already.
You what?
Yeah. You remember, Joan, that I told you that submarine commander was going to be on our side?
Yes, but I think you were mistaken, Jerry.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I got a minute to talk to her where nobody could hear us. And she said she had figured out that those last messages of Johnson's weren't coming from his boat at all.
You mean that woman commander knew that and kept it secret from G47?
Yes, sir. And do you know what that means? It means that she's on our side. And with Johnson safely on his way back to Los Angeles, and that girl helping us on the island, we're a cinch to get away from here.
Right, kid. Nothing can stop us now.
The Magic Island is now divided into 2 enemy camps. G47 and his powerful group of scientists on one side, and Mrs. Gregory's 2 boat crews on the other. Johnson's rescue boat is now lashed to the yacht, and the 2 ride easily in the surface lock between Piers 4 and 5 on the Isle of Euclidia. The scene is the radio cabin of the yacht, the cabin that is protected from the eyes and ears of the Euclideans by the seaweed cloth. Captain Bradford and Mrs. Gregory are explaining to Jerry and Joan some of the things that happened on the yacht while the young people were in the submarine.
But, Mother, Jerry is overly enthusiastic about the attitude of the submarine commander.
No, I'm not, Mrs. Gregory. That girl was doing a lot of thinking about what Joan and I told her. She's got the idea that maybe these Euclideans aren't so hot after all.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree with Jerry about that, Joan. Out of all the people on this island, it's only reasonable to suppose that some of them aren't any too happy.
Yes, Tex, I think Jerry is quite possibly right. Though we should be very careful about taking this girl into our confidence.
Well, she told me she didn't want to know anything about our plans. I guess she was afraid of what G47 might do to her to make her tell, if he guessed she knew anything.
That is reasonable, Jerry. G47 would find some terrible way to make her disclose your plans if he found that she knew them.
Well, never mind about that now. Tell us just what happened here on the yacht. You know, old G47's going to come busting over here any minute and ask a lot of questions. And, we'd all better give the same answers.
For one thing, we are absolutely sure that G47 doesn't know the pigeon arrived with the message from Johnson.
And we've got the pigeon hidden in the canvas locker so he won't notice it's aboard.
That is fine, Captain. If you are sure G47 does not suspect you received a message.
I know he doesn't, or he would have tried to find out what it was or take it away from me long before this.
I'll say he would.
And Tex has destroyed the message, so we're safe on that count.
Just what did the message say?
That Johnson was transferring to another boat which he had hailed and was going to get to Los Angeles as quick as he could and get my formula ready to come back here and destroy this island and rescue it.
But, Captain, how could the island be destroyed without destroying us also?
Tex will explain all that to you when we have time, dear.
How about that formula G47's got now? The one he took away from McLeod when he thought Mac was Johnson. What's that?
It's a formula that will make something which will keep old G47 busy for a long time when he finishes it.
I am confused about all these formulas and messages, Captain. Will you explain it for me?
Yeah, me too. Joan and I were in the sub while all this was going on. Guess we missed plenty.
Well, you see, the message we sent with the pigeon to Johnson, the message he finally received, contained the number of a safety deposit box in Los Angeles, with instructions and authority to have it opened, and Tex's formula taken out.
Then Johnson will have it compounded, return to the island here, and rescue us by using the formula to dissolve the island. Clear?
Yes, Captain.
We're with you so far.
The message the pigeon brought to us from Johnson told us about Johnson changing to another boat which he hailed, and said McLeod would keep on coming to us. And when the boat was captured, we were to introduce McLeod as Johnson.
I got that much of it all right. But how about the formula G47 took away from Johnson? I mean McLeod. Where did that come from?
Why, Johnson wrote it out and gave it to McLeod, knowing it would be taken from him. And he printed it instead of writing, so there would be no question of my handwriting.
Then G47 actually believes the formula he's now working on, the one he took from McLeod, is your universal solvent.
No doubt of it, Joe.
Yes, dear. G47 is thoroughly deceived on that point.
But when they make this formula up in their laboratory, and it isn't a solvent, the trouble will start all over again.
Yeah, the trouble starts all over again. But this time, I think it'll be more trouble for G47 than it is for us.
What do you mean, Captain?
Well, the formula they have now will really make something. And I hope there's a whole bunch of these Euclidean scientists working on it when I get it finished.
There will be. I heard G47 order every scientist on the island into the central laboratory to work on this formula.
Then there's a chance of your desperate plan succeeding, isn't there, Tex?
The more of these Euclideans there are in that laboratory, the better our chances are.
What chances, Captain? What do you expect will be the result of the compounding of the formula?
That laboratory will immediately be filled with a gas which will put every living thing in the room to sleep for hours.
Gee, won't they have time to do anything about it?
Not a chance, Jerry. When the last ingredient is added to that formula and the resulting liquid raised to a certain temperature, the gas will form with the speed of an explosion. Combustion is practically instantaneous, and enough gas will be blown around the room in less than a second to put 1,000 men to sleep.
But, Captain, they will only be asleep. The gas will not permanently harm them. Is that not so?
Right, Joan.
Then when they wake up, terrible things will happen to all of us.
I've been afraid of that too, Joan. But Tex says those men will sleep long enough to give us a chance to take command of the island. And they'll wake up our prisoners.
Golly whiskers. That's sure something.
Oh, that is wonderful, Mother. But are you sure it will work, Captain Bradford?
There's no doubt of it. And we'll have time to do some planning before that happens. Because they'll discover that they haven't one of the ingredients. And they'll have to come to me for it.
So you see, we've really got a chance against these men at last. And we may need to take advantage of it if G47 gets too desperate before Johnson can return to our rescue.
That's all swell, but one thing worries me plenty, and I don't see how you're going to do anything about it.
What is that, Jerry?
Suppose Johnson sends a radio message to us. That'll give away everything.
Yes, I've thought of that. There's not much danger of it happening. But of course, Johnson will estimate the time it should take us to get control of the radio on the island. And if he should try to reach us before that has happened, well, it wouldn't be so good.
I hardly think he'll do that. Johnson knows the value of keeping his actual whereabouts a secret.
On the other hand, Mother, Johnson will want to keep well advised of your progress here, as it will be some days before he can reach Los Angeles and return.
Yeah, that's another thing I can't figure out.
What's that, Jerry?
How all this has been going on. 3 radio sets filling the air with messages, and yet we don't hear a word from anybody in the outside world.
Well, that has also occurred to me, Captain Tex. It seems strange that no one except Johnson has made any attempt to come to our rescue or contact us.
That is something Tex and I will explain to you and Jerry when the time is right, my dear. It's enough for you to know now that every move we have made here, every word that has passed through the air between this island and Johnson, is known in every civilized country in the world.
But how can it be kept quiet? I should think the newspapers and the radio news broadcasts would be full of it. Gee, it's the biggest news in the world right now. And I never heard of being able to keep anything like this quiet.
Well, someday you'll understand it all, kid. But for the present, it's enough for you to know, as Pat started to tell you. But we happen to have influence enough to keep this quiet until we want the world to act on it. Remember that it would mean certain victory for the Euclideans to attempt to bring in a rescue party now.
I can understand that, Captain. You would sacrifice thousands of lives and billions of dollars in any attempt to take this island by force, while by waiting, you may take it through strategy.
Right, Joan, dear. You and Jerry are fine, understanding aides, and you've been a great help to us.
I think, Mother, Jerry has been more of a help than you know.
In what way, dear?
Jerry talked so much about your world to the commander of the submarine that she gave us many privileges. And if what Jerry says is true as to her being willing to help us, then we have Jerry to thank for it.
Nice work, Jerry. What did you tell her?
Oh, I didn't tell her so much. It was just that she kind of took a liking to me. I guess she knew I never saw a fellow like me before. And then when she got kind of stuck on me, it was easy to get her on my side.
At least, Jerry, you have no doubt about your own ability with the ladies.
How old is this woman, submarine commander, Joan?
She is very old, and Jerry is foolish in thinking she was attracted to him. The commander is 22 years old.
Poor old lady.
I hardly see how she gets around at that age.
Oh, you know what Joan means. She's just jealous, that's all.
Why, Jerry Hall, if your monumental conceit were worthy of the slightest consideration, it would only be to point out the utterly ridiculous impression created by your exaggerated ego.
She means I like me
Yes,
too much.
I get it. That was the general import of the remark.
Never mind, Jerry. It's sometimes better to think well of yourself than to be too modest. After all, the world takes us at our own estimation.
However, it would be well to remember that the estimation must be lived up to.
Okay, forget it. I'm sorry, Joan. I didn't mean to start a battle over it. The important thing is that the girl is on our side, and I'm sure of it, because she knew enough to wreck our plans if she'd have gone to G47 with it.
Just exactly what did she know, Jerry?
Something about those last messages not coming from Johnson's boat, wasn't it?
Yeah, and why I'm kind of worried about this, well, is because G47 should have noticed it the same as the commander did.
The only reason the direction of Johnson's radio beam did not attract the attention of G47 was because he was giving all his attention to the prism reflectors, observing the progress of the submarine.
But won't the variations of that radio beam be recorded so that he'll stumble onto it later?
Oh, they are recorded, of course. But in the excitement of getting Captain Bradford's formula from Johnson, or thinking he had, G47 must have forgotten to read the recording device.
Then Johnson's secret is safe only until G47 decides to take a look at the records in that device.
I'm afraid that's it. But maybe he'll forget it altogether.
How often are the plates or rolls or whatever the record is traced on, how often are they replaced, Joe?
Every 24 hours, a new roll of sensitized metal is inserted in the recording devices. Then the old rolls are safely stored away.
Looks like we've got a chance if G47 doesn't look at that roll.
How did the submarine commander discover that Johnson's messages were not coming from his boat?
Well, she's got one of those directional beam recorders on the sub, and she watched it like a hawk.
Oh.
I guess she knew from the message that something was funny about it.
Also, she would have noticed the loss of strength in the beam, as Johnson was getting farther and farther away when he was supposedly talking from the very boat we were towing.
Well, if that girl commander knew all that and still kept quiet about it, Jerry's right. She's on our side, no doubt about it.
Is there anything we can do now, Tex? I mean, can we further our plans in any way?
I should think the best thing would be to just sit tight and act sorry for ourselves.
An excellent idea, Jerry. If we act as if we had any plans, G47 would soon sense that our position was not as hopeless as we pretend it is.
Quiet. I've got a good view of the pier through this porthole. G47 is coming, and he's in a hurry.
I'm afraid that'll mean bad news.
Don't give up too easy, Mrs. Gregory.
I think we should say nothing more.
Right, Joe. Just sit still and look hopeless. Come in.
Oh, Tex, it's G47.
Precisely. You will come with me to the other boat at once, Captain Bradford. I need some of your materials to complete the formula.
Don't give them to him, Tex.
No use being foolish, Jerry. I'll come, G47.
At least, Captain Bradford, you have intelligence enough to realize that your position is quite hopeless.
You win, G47. Come on, let's get it over with.
Oh, Jerry, I'm afraid our last hope is gone. Things are working out just as Tex said they would.
And when G47 gets those materials, he can finish the formula Captain Bradford gave him.
Yeah, Tex wants him to finish it, and we'll all be on our toes when it happens. Then we'll show him how to run this island for a while.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. And today, as we conclude our story of the talking cat, Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane are in urgent need of his help. We'll join them in a moment. But right now, here is Dan McCullough.
Say, I know a young fellow who never used to like to run errands for his mother. But nowadays, well, he starts out for the grocery store like a streak of lightning. You see, his folks eat lots of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. So Mom's most always sending for another package. And that means another bright-colored comic button to add to his collection. Maybe that little squirt Herbie with his red and black striped beanie and his school books under his arm. Maybe Smiling Jack, mighty handsome in his natty-looking uniform. Maybe even Superman himself, bright blue jersey and red Superman insignia, flying cape and all. And if it's a duplicate, like a comic button you already have, why, that's even more fun, because then it's exciting to swap with your pals and compare notes on how many you've collected. And you really feel like strutting around when you wear those slick-looking buttons pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. So it's a real break that these swell comic buttons are so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. But inside every package of Kellogg's Pep, there's your swell prize. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
When Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen mysteriously disappeared after revealing that Lois's Siamese cat had spoken to them in a human voice, Cross kids discovered how the animal had been made to appear to talk. 4 wristwatches presented to Kent, Perry White, Lois, and Jimmy as Christmas presents had been ingeniously equipped with tiny radio receivers, which picked up a human voice being broadcast from a transmitter in a funeral hearse. Kent traced the watches to the jewelry shop of a man named Chrysler, and by means of his acute hearing, overheard Chrysler phone a Mr. Ames, telling him of Ted's visit. As we continue now, Ames and his henchman, a ferret-faced man named Turbot, have unlocked the door in a dingy warehouse where Lois and Jimmy are imprisoned. As the door opens, the 2 reporters spring to their feet.
Jim, somebody's coming.
Maybe it's Mr. Kent or the police.
No, it isn't. Stand here by the door, Robert. Well, good morning, Miss Lane. Olsen.
Who are you?
Don't you recognize me?
Why, you're Frederick Ames.
That's right, Miss Lane. Quite a long time since we've met, isn't it?
Why are you pointing that gun at us?
You have a short memory, Miss Lane. You've forgotten that you and Clark Kent and Perry Wyatt, yes, and Olsen, too, exposed me and put my newspaper out of business?
You deserve to be put out of business. You should have been put behind bars for life. You were publishing a vicious, anti-racial paper that preached hate and intolerance, trying to do to America what Hitler did to Germany.
Yeah, I remember you. I wasn't in on most of the story, but I remember it all now.
And you should remember what I told each of you in court when I was sent to jail for what you called subversive activities.
Is that why you've got the gun?
It is indeed, Olsen. Instead of continuing the cat treatment.
Cat treatment? So it was you. You tricked us some way. Made us think the cats talked.
Kent said all the time it was a trick. But how? Why?
You were trying to drive us out of our minds.
I would have succeeded if not for Mr. Kent. Now, Miss Lane. Olsen.
No. Put that gun down.
You'll go to the electric chair.
Don't worry about me. Goodbye, Miss Lane. Goodbye, Olsen.
No.
I'll take that gun, Ames. Let go. Come on.
Miss
Let
Lane,
go.
look. It's Superman.
Oh, thank heaven.
I said I'd take that gun, Mr. Rat.
Oh, I think I'm going to...
Don't say now, Miss Lane. Everything's okay.
What are you going to do to me?
Put you back in the cell they should never have let you out of. This time, I hope you'll be locked up for good.
Hey, the other guy's getting away.
He won't get far, Jim. Inspector Henderson and his men are outside. All right, come along, Ames. The inspector will be glad to see you.
No.
Come along, I said. You all right, Miss Lane?
A bit weak in the knees, but all right now, thanks to you.
That goes for me, too. Boy, I thought we were goners.
That wasn't as bad as thinking I was losing my mind. I suppose it was Ames who sent me the cat.
Yes, of course he did. He had the wristwatches you received for Christmas made with tiny radio receivers in them.
What? Radio receivers?
That's how it was done, Jim. When Ames's lookout saw you were alone with the cat, he signaled a man in the funeral hearse who broadcast the strange voices you heard. The wristwatches picked up the voices.
Police. So that's how it was done.
But how did I disappear from the taxi cab that day?
Well, you'd fallen asleep. You were taking the sedative before you left your apartment, remember? The man in the hearse stopped your taxi driver, and when he turned to look at you, the man knocked him out with a padded blackjack.
Oh.
When the driver awoke, the man and you were gone. Clark Kent will explain anything else you want to know. Oh, here comes Inspector Henderson. I'll turn you all over to him.
Turning the now thoroughly cowed Ames over to the police and taking leave of Lois and Jimmy, Superman disappears. The following morning, once more in the guise of Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter, we find him in Lois Lane's office, where he and Jimmy Olsen are kidding the girl reporter about the talking cat.
Oh, you look a little tired, Lois. How about a cat nap?
Stop it, Clark. And don't you laugh, Mr. Olsen. You're the last person in the world to laugh at me.
What, Jimmy? A person? I thought he was a cat.
Oh,
why, sure he's a cat. Meow for the Lady Jane.
Okay. Meow.
Yes,
I suppose you think you're funny. You wouldn't joke about it if you'd gone through what I went through.
Oh, yes, a terrible catastrophe, wasn't it?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Clark, if you've got nothing better to do than to pull bad puns and make unfunny jokes, suppose you do it in your own office.
Oh, we're just kidding, Miss Lane.
Well, I'm not in the humor for kittens. I mean kittens.
You see? How do you like that? Blames us and then pulls a sour gag herself.
It wasn't a gag. It was a mistake.
It was a mistake. Well, Jim, look. It looks like we're not wanted around here. What do you say we go down to Tony's hash house? Maybe we can rustle up a couple of friendly mice in Tony's house.
You know, Clark, you're wasting your time as a reporter.
Oh, do you think so?
You should be a radio comedian.
Oh, other people have told me that.
How would you like me to fix it for you?
Can you?
I know the man who produces the Danny Kaye program.
Oh, really?
No, O'Reilly. There.
There what?
I suppose that wasn't funny.
Funny?
It's a joke, Mr. Ken. A joke, that is.
Oh, really?
Get out of here, both of you.
Uh-oh. That's showing her claws.
Get out, I said.
Whoops, the phone's ringing.
I'm not deaf.
Phone.
Oh. Hello?
Mr. Kent, please.
Just a minute. It's for you, the great Mr. Kent. Meow. Oh, you don't stop that. Here, take your old phone.
Yep. Hello?
Hello, Kent.
Yes.
This is Bruce Wayne.
Who?
Bruce Wayne. Oh, Batman.
Oh, yes. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Fine, thanks.
I'm calling from the Crime Detection Office at Police Headquarters, Kent. I wonder, could you come down here?
Well, sure thing. Why? What's up?
I can't discuss it over the phone. You'd better get down here. I'll be in room 607.
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
And, Kent.
Yes?
Don't bring anyone with you. If this leaks out, you will be ruined.
What? Ruined?
See you in 10 minutes. Goodbye.
Bye.
What's the matter, Mr. Ken?
Huh? What? Oh, nothing. I've got to get down to police headquarters.
Well, I hope they put you in a cell and throw away the key.
Oh, I'll go along with you.
No, Jim. No, I've got to go alone. I'll see you later. Ruined? What did he mean?
Gosh, Miss Lane, did you see the look on his face when we hung up?
I don't make it a habit to keep my eyes glued on Mr. Kent's face.
Oh, but that look. I've seen it before. I know it. It's getting me trouble.
Right you are, Jimmy. That look does mean trouble. But not the kind of trouble you think. Gang, don't miss the startling climax of today's episode. Stand by for just a moment, and we'll be back with it. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, the young fellows in our block are extra busy these days working on their collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. And for a mighty good reason. If they don't hop to it, the girls are going to get ahead of them. Collect more of these nifty comic buttons. Well, right now, I'd say it was just about nip and tuck, and there's a lot of trading going on, too. You see, whenever you get a new button that's like one of the comic strip characters you already have, then there's the business and the fun of finding out which one of your pals has a duplicate, too, so that you can swap. That way, you both have a brand new button to wear pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. And they look swell. Why, the pictures of your funny paper favorites are so clear and sharp and so bright colors they stand out like anything. And they're true to life, too, just the way that you always see them in the funny papers. So, gang, don't let anybody get ahead of you. Better remind Mom right now to get you another package or two of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because that's the only way you can get these comic buttons. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box stop. and you can't buy them anywhere. But there's an exclusive prize for you in every package of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's, the greatest name in cereals. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
At police headquarters in room 607 of the Crime Detection Division, Batman in his guise of Bruce Wayne and Superman in his guise of Clark Kent face one another across a desk. Kent is obviously puzzled as Bruce Wayne opens a drawer of the desk and removes 3 index cards. For a moment, he studies them. Then he looks up.
Kent, where were you on the night of Thursday, December 20th?
December 20th?
Uh-huh.
December 20th. Well, frankly, I don't know.
All right, let's take another one. The night of January 2nd, that was a Wednesday.
January 2nd. Let's see, today's the 28th. That makes it almost 4 weeks, isn't it? I can't answer that either, but...
Here's one more, fairly recent. The night of January the 18th. It was a Friday.
Friday the 18th?
About midnight.
Well, I was home, I imagine. Unless I'm out on a story, I'm usually home before midnight.
But you're not sure about the 18th.
I can't be positive. What's this all about?
Well, here it is, Kent. In going through the files of unsolved burglary cases, I came across 3 that bear a strange resemblance.
Oh?
3 bank burglaries in outlying districts that never hit the newspapers because they evidently weren't big enough.
Uh-huh.
The first one, on December 20th, netted the burglar at $2,000. The next, on January 2nd, netted $3,000. And the last, on January 18th, netted $5,000.
Pretty small hauls for bank burglaries, aren't they?
Yes, they're very small. Particularly since in each case the vault door was ripped open and there was plenty of money lying around.
I don't get it.
Neither do the police. But that's not all. As I said, the doors of the vaults in all 3 banks were literally ripped off their hinges.
You mean blown off, dynamited?
No, I mean ripped. And each of these police reports mentions that whoever did it must have been a Superman.
Oh, that's fine. Great. During the war, the Nazis appropriated my name, called themselves Superman, and now it's a bank robber.
There's one more thing.
Yes?
The money that was stolen was sent to charities.
Say that again.
The $2,000 stolen on December 20th was sent to the National Charity Board. The $3,000 stolen on January 2nd was sent to the Metropolis Orphanage.
Uh-huh.
And the $5,000 stolen on January the 18th was sent to the Interfaith Relief Council. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
Yes? Oh, yes, Wilson. What? Are you sure? Yes. I see. All right, thanks. Kent, this is getting serious.
Well, what's getting serious?
Last night, the Lynn Haven National Bank just outside Metropolis was broken into.
So?
The vault door was ripped off and $10,000 was stolen. A passing motorist saw a man running out of the bank carrying a small satchel.
Well?
He wore a red cape and a blue costume.
For a long moment, Clark Kent fails to get the point. Then suddenly it dawns on him. A red cape and a blue costume. The symbols of Superman. Stunned, he stares at Bruce Wayne in open-mouthed amazement. Is Wayne, otherwise known as the Batman, insinuating that he, Superman, has been robbing banks? Or is he suggesting that there may be another Superman, another individual endowed with superhuman powers? Gang, this is the beginning of one of the most mysteriously exciting adventures in Superman's entire career. So don't miss a single exciting episode. Is there another Superman? Listen tomorrow, same time, same station. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, get a load of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the famous variety carton of 6 swell Kellogg cereals in 10 separate packages. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. With Kellogg's Variety on the table, you can choose among Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Pep Corn Flakes, Shredded Wheat Crumbles, and 40% Bran Flakes. Simply help yourself to your favorite. Each box holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety right away. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive.
able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today, as we begin a brand new adventure for the Man of Steel, a strange situation has taken him to a small village outside of Metropolis. We'll join him there with his friend, the famous Batman, in just a moment. But right now, let's hear from our good friend, Dan McCullough.
You know, old man's son is responsible for a lot of mighty fine things. Fact is, we just couldn't get along without him. And one of the best things he does for you is to make that wonderful vitamin D that helps build strong bones and sturdy teeth. That's the very same vitamin D you get from each sunny serving of Kellogg's Pep. Actually, your day's need of vitamin D makes Pep extra good for you. Your mom knows that. And this super delicious whole wheat flake cereal is so doggone crisp and golden and fresh that, well, you feel like eating lots of it. What's more, the more Kellogg's Pep your family eats, the more comic buttons you get to add to your collection. Maybe a new comic strip character like Moon Mullins or Lillums or Superman himself. Maybe a duplicate so that you can have even more fun trading with your pals. And do you feel proud when you wear your whole collection pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap for everybody to see how many you have? But remember, there's only one way you can get these swell comic buttons. You can't buy them anywhere, and you don't send in any money, not even a box top. All you do is to look inside every package of Kellogg's Pep for your prize. Better plan to eat lots of P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Summoned to police headquarters by Bruce Wayne, otherwise known as Batman, Clark Kent was presented with a puzzling mystery. According to police reports, there had been 3 recent bank robberies in the outskirts of Metropolis, all of them apparently committed by the same person, a man seemingly possessed of superhuman strength. And in each case, the stolen money had been delivered to a different charitable organization. As Kent and Bruce Wayne were talking, a call came in that another bank had been burglarized the night before, and that a passing motorist had seen the thief and reported he had been dressed in a blue costume and red cape similar to Superman's. As we continue now, Kent and Batman in his guise of Bruce Wayne have arrived at the village of Lynn Haven, 43 miles from Metropolis, where the latest burglary was committed. Sheriff Dawson is leading them to the rear of the one-story brick bank building. Listen.
I'll show you how the feller got into the bank, but I'm telling you, you won't believe it. Well, here we are. You see that window?
Look at that, Kent. The steel bars were wrenched out of their frame.
Yes. Well, they probably hooked a steel cable to their car and pulled them out.
No, sir.
Well, how did they do it then, Sheriff?
There was only one feller. The one Doc Trumbull seen running out of here with the satchel dressed up in the masquerade costume. I figured he ripped them bars out with just his hand.
Nonsense. They're solid steel bars, and they were anchored in concrete. Why, it would take Superman here. I mean, it would take a man of superhuman strength to do that.
Well, this here fella's got a heap of strength, Mr. Wayne. I figure he's the same one who broke into the banks in Glen Forest, Hightown, and Thomasfield. He yanked the bars off a window in Glen Forest just like he done here, and he pulled 2 steel doors clean off of their hinges in Hightown and Thomasfield.
No, I can't believe it.
Well, why do you say he did it with just his hands, Sheriff?
On account of there wasn't no marks on them windows or doors. None of the bars were sawed, and none of the doors were jimmied. And no explosive was used either. Why, you could see somebody just laid to and ripped them off.
Well, he could have used a cable.
I tell you he didn't. On account of he couldn't have used no cable on the vault door.
What do you mean?
Well, come on into the bank.
All right.
I'll show you. I never in all my born days did I ever see anything like it. Now, here's the vault room. Ain't no windows down here, and only the one set of steps to get down and up from the main floor. So how could the feller hook up any steel cables and run them outside to a car? It ain't possible.
Well, where's the vault you say he opened?
It's right around this turn, Bruce.
That's right. Well, how'd you know, Mr. Kent?
How?
Oh, Great Jupiter. Look, Kent. This big steel vault door was wrenched open.
Yes, and the door hasn't been cut and it hasn't been drilled. That means no explosive was used.
Of course there wasn't. I tell you, this Superman feller done it with just his own strength. It makes me shiver just to think of a crook that strong running around loose.
Well, there's only one man strong enough to rip this vault door open, and he's no crook.
Oh, thanks, Bruce. Hey, wait a minute. Better not touch the door yet. There may be fingers. fingerprints on it.
I imagine it's already been dusted for fingerprints. Right, Sheriff?
That's right, young feller. The only prints on it was the cashier's, the president of the bank, Mr. Hoffman, and Joe the porter. Joe's a wingy little fellow, and apart from Mr. Hoffman and the cashier not being big, strong fellas either...
They know the combination of the vault.
That's right. Say, you two think mighty quick.
Look, Sheriff, your report said a Dr. Trumbull, I believe, saw somebody leaving the bank last night.
That's right. Doc seen the feller run out with a satchel, which must have had the money in it.
Well, why didn't he chase him?
Well, he couldn't. Doc had Mrs. Sawyer in the car. You see, she had appendicitis, and he was taking her to the hospital.
Oh, I see.
Also, he says this feller got away awful fast. Just like he was there one minute and gone up and smoked the next.
What? You mean he just vanished into thin air?
Yep, that's just about the size of it.
Where can we see Dr. Trumbull, Sheriff?
Well, now, let's see. It's 11:30. Doc ought to be getting home for lunch about this time. I'll take you over there.
Well, nice of you to go to all this trouble, Sheriff.
Yes, it certainly is.
Oh, it ain't no trouble at all. Maybe you'll give me a big write-up in your newspaper, Mr. Kent. If you do, it might help me some come the election next June. I won't mind too much if you want to take some pictures of me either.
This man you saw leaving the bank last night, Dr. Trumbull, can you describe him to us?
Why, yes, Mr. Kent. I got a pretty good look at him. He came around from the rear of the bank just as I turned out of Elm into Main Street. My headlights were right on him.
What did he look like?
He was a pretty big fellow, well built.
How big?
Why, I'd say he was just about your height, Mr. Kent. Come to think of it, he was just about your build, too.
What time was this, Doctor?
Early this morning, about 1:15.
Did you get a look at the man's face?
No, he was wearing a mask.
Oh.
But he had this strange costume on.
What was it like?
I told you, Mr. Kent.
I'd rather Dr. Trumbull told me, if you don't mind, Sheriff.
Well, it was a blue skin-tight costume with a flowing red cape. Just like...
Yes?
Well, like the costume Superman wears. Yeah, but I can't make myself believe it was Superman. He's always been on the side of law and order. He's one of the finest and greatest men we have. It couldn't have been Superman.
Of course not.
What makes you so sure, Mr. Kent? How do you know?
Well, I know. At least I think I do.
You think? Now, look,
I never did believe all the talk and stuff in the papers about this Superman fella. Never believed there was a Superman. But, well, now I ain't so sure.
There's a Superman, all right. But he didn't have anything to do with the bank robbery last night.
I don't know. Nobody but a feller like they say Superman is could have ripped them bars off the window and pulled the vault door off and done the same things at the banks in Glen Forest and Hightown and Thomasville.
Excuse me. Dr. Trumbull speaking.
Who?
Yes, he's here. Just a moment, please. For you, Sheriff.
For me? Oh, much obliged, Doc. Yeah? Who wants me? Oh, hello, Sid. No, I didn't catch the feller yet. Is that you? What? What's that? Give me that again. You don't mean it. All of it? Well, I'll be... Sure, I'll be right over. Wait for me, Sid. Oh, the whole lot crazy. No, I can't believe it.
Well, what's wrong, Sheriff?
Well, wait till you hear this, Mr. Wayne. You too, Mr. Kent. And Doc, you know the $10,000 that was stolen out of the bank last night?
Of course. What about it?
Well, that was Sid Hoffman, president of the bank.
Yes?
He just got a call from one of them big charities in Metropolis, the European War Orphans Relief.
Wait a minute.
You
don't mean it.
Yeah, just like it happened after them other 3 robberies in Glen Forest, Hightown, and Thomasville. This charity gets a package by special messenger an hour ago. And dang if it ain't the $10,000.
Well,
how can they be sure it's the money from this bank, Sheriff?
Well, a card come with it, Sid Hoffman said. Had the name of the bank written right on it.
Just like the others, Kent. What do you make of it?
Nothing. Unless...
Unless what?
I'll tell you later. I want to get to the office of that War Relief charity as soon as possible.
That's a good idea. Let's go. What time is it?
Well, there's your answer. Noon whistles at the aircraft factory. Well, I got to be getting over to the bank.
We'll give you a lift in our car, then go on to Metropolis. Come on, Bruce. Goodbye, Doctor, and thanks.
Not at all.
Yes, thanks, Doctor. So long.
Hurrying from the doctor's house, Kent and Batman drive back to Metropolis. At the executive offices of the European War Orphans Relief Society, Mr. Keeler, secretary of the society, permits them to examine the brown paper parcel in which the strange gift of $10,000 had arrived a few hours before.
Nothing on this paper wrapper, Kent. Either inside or out.
Oh. May we see the card that came with the money, Mr. Keeler?
Well, I don't know, Mr. Kent. Inspector Henderson left word that nothing was to be disturbed until he got here. He's been delayed on another matter.
Well, I showed you my special police pass signed by the inspector himself. I'm sure he wouldn't object to your letting us see the card.
Well, I don't suppose there's any harm in showing it to you. The inspector's men have already examined it for fingerprints. I have it right here. Here you are, Mr. Wayne.
Thank you. A gift from the Lynn Haven National Bank with the compliments of a friend.
Let me see it, Bruce.
Sure thing.
Thanks. What? Great Scott!
What's the matter, Kent? You're pale as a ghost. Kent, what's the matter?
Pale and trembling, Clark Kent stares at the card in his hand. Why has it shocked him so? What has happened? We'll return in a moment for the amazing climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, most everybody finds it pretty tough sometimes to get up in the morning the first time Mother calls. But I know a young fellow who beats his mother to the kitchen nowadays because he always wants to make sure there's Kellogg's Pep for breakfast, and because he wants to be on hand every time Mom opens a new package of Pep to get a new comic button for his collection. Yes, sir, these nifty comic buttons are real eye-openers. Full comic strip colors, bright red and blue and black on a gleaming white enamel background. And the pictures of your favorite funny paper characters are drawn clear and sharp, so they stand out like anything. Why, you'd know them anywhere. Moon Mullins and Winnie Winkle and Superman and all the others. You see, there are 18 different buttons in this series. 18 different funny sheet friends to collect. Boy, it's a load of fun. And they're so easy to get. You don't send in any money for these exciting comic buttons, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you do is ask Mom to keep you supplied with plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. There's an exclusive prize in every package of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's, the greatest name in cereals. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
At the executive offices of the European War Orphans Relief Society, Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, who is really the famous Batman, was shown the card enclosed with the stolen bank money. Suddenly paling, Kent led Wayne a few feet away out of earshot of the society secretary. Wayne is demanding...
What's come over you, Kent? You're pale as a ghost and you're trembling.
This card. The inscription on it.
What about it?
It's in my handwriting.
His eyes literally popping from his head. Batman stares at Clark Kent in open-mouthed amazement. What does this mean? How could Kent have possibly written the card enclosed with the money stolen from the Lynn Haven Bank? Fellows and girls, there's thrilling mystery and excitement in our new story, different from anything you've heard before. So don't miss a single episode of it. Tune in tomorrow and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, and listen to The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, you'll get a bang out of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the grand 10-package assortment of 6 swell Kellogg's cereals. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Makes it easy for Mom, too. No dishes to wash, thanks to the new Kell Bowl Pack. You can eat right out of it. Once more, these generous packages are great for lunch boxes and outings. So ask Mom to hurry and get Kellogg's Variety at the grocer's her very first chance. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to the interior of China and the story of a gentleman gambler from Virginia, matching wits with a murderous warlord whose word can mean life or death. As Ahmed Abdullah tells it in his famous story, The Ambassador of Poker.
Very good. Here he is, sir.
Captain, I demand to know the meaning of this. This sailor has forced me to pack my baggage, vacate my cabin, and come here.
He did it on my orders, Mr. Fairbairn. You are leaving this ship.
Leave it? But you are mistaken, sir. This is only Hong Kong. My passage is paid to Singapore.
In this envelope, you will find the refund of the remainder of your passage. It comes to $43, I believe. Good day to you.
Well, you can't do this. I demand an explanation.
I shall give it to you in a word. Poker. There is not a man aboard, officer or crewman, who has not lost every cent he had to you.
You're implying that I play dishonestly? That I cheat?
Let's just say that you win, too, consistently.
Sir, I am Randolph C. Fairbairn of Charlottesville, Virginia, sir. A Southern gentleman. I have never cheated at cards in my life, and I never will. Here in my wallet is all of the money I won on this voyage. Some $324, I think. Take it. You may distribute it among the men. You will, I presume, allow me to keep the $20 bill that I had when I came aboard.
I cannot accept this money back, Mr. Fairbairn, but...
Then throw it overboard. Here, allow me.
No. Wait, I'll take it. I'll return it to the men.
Thank you. Now, if you will, pardon me.
Mr. Fairbairn, perhaps I have misjudged you. If so, I'm deeply sorry.
Your apology is accepted.
But you must admit your winning all the time is...
That is my good fortune, sir, and my curse. I simply cannot lose.
Perhaps if you would agree not to play poker, perhaps you could stay on board to Singapore.
No, sir, I do not stay where I am not wanted.
But you haven't much money. How will you get along in Hong Kong? What will you do?
Why, I expect something will turn up. If not, I will play poker.
On the Hong Kong waterfront?
Certainly.
Well, sir, if you play and if you insist upon winning...
I can't help winning.
Then, Mr. Fairbairn, I should advise you to be prepared for a great deal of trouble. I should advise you to slip a gun in your pocket alongside your rabbit's foot.
Mr. Fairbairn, are you staying on another week?
Why, yes, I believe I will.
Oh, well then, sir, we shall have to have payment for the room in advance.
Yes, I'll take care of that tonight. Right now I have something important. By the way, do you know where I might find a poker game?
Poker? Oh, no, sir, not in this hotel.
Poker? Yes, sir. If you don't value your life too highly. On the waterfront, Pearl Dock Street, down the alley of the Heavenly Fish. The Black Dragon in the back room.
You are bluffing. I call you.
3 lovely ladies.
Well, mon ami, you are unlucky tonight.
You wait. Just you wait. All right. Deal the cards.
Gentlemen, I beg your pardon.
Who is this one?
What is it, young fella?
I wonder if I might sit in this game, if you don't mind.
What?
Regardez, you're just a boy.
Why, of course, old chap, of course. Happy to have you. Won't you sit down, Mr.
Fairbairn. Randolph C. Fairbairn of Charlottesville, Virginia.
Well, sit down, Mr. Fairbairn. This is Frenchy Frenchy, Van Alkemade, Rangoon George, the Croker, and, you just call me Skip.
How do you do, gentlemen?
Always happy to see a new face in the game.
Yeah. How many chips do you want?
Why, $17.64 worth as a starter. There.
Is that all you have?
I'm afraid it is. For the moment, at least.
Oh. Well...
I don't think I'll need any more.
Me? I love the innocence of the very young. Deal, mon petit.
Raise you 5.
Very well. Call.
3 aces.
Sorry. Full house. 9s over 4s. I'll play these, gentlemen.
Mordieu. Another fat hand.
Check to you.
No, not to me, old fellow. I'm out.
Well, see, it's all yours, monsieur, unless...
No.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, wait a minute. You get out.
I beg your pardon?
I said get out. This joke has gone far enough.
Joke? I don't understand.
Get out.
Don't worry, sir. I don't care to stay where people don't want me. Here, cash my chips, and I'll move along, gentlemen.
What?
Cash your blinking chips, did you say, young fella?
Why, yes, sir.
Oh, to the devil with you. Beat it while you can still walk.
Gentlemen, I must insist upon my money.
You what?
I am an extremely nervous man. I do not like to fight, but...
Out! Get out before I...
I'm sorry, sir, but I warned you. Though I don't like fighting, my mother insisted that I study boxing.
Let me at him. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
Sorry, gentlemen. I dislike using the gun, but I had no choice. You may get up, sir. You are uninjured. I merely shot into the ceiling. And now, if you will be good enough to cash my chips, I can be on my way.
$84, $85, and 20 cents. That's it to the penny.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now, if you will remain facing me with your hands up until I have left the room...
Be careful with that thing.
There is very little danger. I'm really a very indifferent marksman. Who's that?
There is no need to fear this humble one, sir. Good evening. I watched a little scene you enacted just now, Mr...
Fairbairn, sir. Randolph C. Fairbairn of Charlottesville, Virginia, sir.
Of course. The Virginian. All of you, go.
Well, you certainly have that pack of rats under your thumb. A wave of your hand, and they are gone like magic.
Not magic, my friend. The power of money. That is more practical. Besides, I own this place.
Ah.
So, you are Virginian?
Yes, sir, an unworthy son of that great and noble Commonwealth.
Oh, I am delighted. My late partner was Virginian. I am Shangpao of Jones and Shangpao Importers. Pardon inquisitiveness, but would you care to go to work?
Well, I am not a businessman, and I don't speak Chinese.
No matter. You are gentleman and fighting man.
Oh, not a fighting man. No, you're mistaken.
No matter. I need man like you, and it will be worth a great deal of money to you.
How much?
$5,000.
But for what? What is the job?
To recover for me a fortune from the interior of China, an object no bigger than your hand, weighing less than 4 ounces. The British Museum has offered £10,000. Your own Metropolitan Museum will gladly pay $50,000. Private collectors, more, much more.
Well, why? What is it?
Is thin gold wafer, on which is impressed only imprint known of Great Seal of Yin Dynasty, 3,000 years ago, is priceless relic. And it was, and legally still is, property of Jones and Shangpao. It will be your job to return it to me by whatever means you are able.
But from where? Who has it now?
You have heard of General Kung?
No.
Notorious bandit, now puppet ruler of Namyung? On some pretext, he confiscated seal from my partner. Jones died while trying to recover it of typhus, so it was said.
Too bad. Well, how am I to get the seal from him?
Perhaps way will suggest itself when I tell you that General Kung also liked to play poker.
Aha. So that's why you picked me.
Perhaps. You will do it?
Well, I'll go a long way for a game of poker.
Excellent. I shall arrange for you forged document, safe contact pass. Also reliable Chinese guide. You must be careful. Watch out for a beautiful young lady with red hair like sun. She is perhaps after seal also.
Huh? Who is she?
I do not know. But I do know she is dangerous. Also, young Mr. Fairbairn, let me say this to you. Though you do not like fighting, this is China, not Virginia. If you get chance to slit throat of General Kung, do so promptly before he does same to you.
In just a moment, we will return you to the second act of Escape. But first, on CBS's Gene Autry Show this Saturday night, you'll hear how Easter is celebrated in the West. The King of the Cowboys will bring you a sketch about a young Western minister whose Easter sermon helps to solve a mystery. And Gene will also be singing some special holiday songs. Vaughn Monroe will be around this Saturday with some of his famous music making, so be listening for them both, Gene Autry and Vaughn Monroe, on most of these same CBS stations. And now for the second act of Escape, and the story of Randolph C. Fairburn, the ambassador of poker.
Is this the place, Mao Tzu?
Hello, General Chung. Take hotel, chase people away.
Oh, he confiscated that, too. All right, let's go. What's this?
God say we no can go inside.
Tell him I want to see the general, Mao Tzu. What did he say?
He say no like American here.
Tell him I'm an ambassador from Virginia.
佢係美國大使 Virginia。
無論佢喺邊處嚟都好，佢現在非常之唔得閒啊！你哋快脆啲走去啦，唔係我拉入你啊！
What did he say?
He say no.
Tell him I'm an ambassador of poker. Tell him to tell the general that.
Did you say poker, Mr. Fairbairn?
I did, sir. Would you care to have a game?
Come in. In here, Mr. Fairbairn.
Thank you.
I have cards and chips. And oh, excuse me. This is Miss Grushenka, Mr. Fairbairn.
How do you do?
Wow. I hadn't expected to find such a lovely lady.
Spasiba. You are gallant.
Oh, it's an old Virginia custom, madam.
Oh, you American. You will excuse me, perhaps.
Oh, don't leave.
Of course, my blossom. You may go now.
Da. Do свидания.
Goodbye, miss. It was a pleasure to...
Now, Mr. Fairbairn.
I'm sorry. I hope I haven't interrupted anything.
It is nothing. Only a woman. Sit down.
But a very beautiful one, with lovely red hair.
Still a woman. I have not played poker for many moons. Cut for deal?
And the stakes?
Shall we say 100 a tip?
$100? All right. Three aces. Enough?
Deal.
Full house. Enough?
Deal again.
King high straight. Enough?
Another.
Heart flush.
All right. That is enough. You play poker very well, Mr. Fairbairn.
I can usually win when I want to.
You put me in embarrassing position. You have wiped out treasury. Now I must collect another tax. And last one was only last week.
That won't be necessary, General. I think we can make a deal.
What kind of deal?
Instead of the money, I'll take the yin seal for payment.
So, now I understand. You cannot be that naive, Mr. Fairbairn.
I played the game in good faith, sir. I demand that
You demand nothing, American pig. You will think over your stupidity in my prison. 拉佢落個樓下鎖住佢，唔好俾人見佢。得咯，得咯。
將軍唔准我哋入去咯。
It's quite all right, I tell you. General Kung has given me his permission.
真個好唔得咯。
Dolja, Dolja. Oh, hello, Mr. Fairbairn.
Well, hello. Nice of you to come and see me.
If I get you out of here, will you help me?
What happened to your Russian accent?
Will you?
Well, yeah. Of course, it wasn't a good accent anyway. Unless I'm crazy, you're from Virginia, too.
That doesn't matter now. We've got to get out of here.
We? Well, I thought you and the general were friends.
Not at all. I was living in the hotel here when he took it over. He won't let me leave.
You could just walk out.
How? He confiscated my credentials, keeps me almost a prisoner, refuses me a safe conduct pass.
So you want mine?
Well, why not? You can add "and wife" to it. Something like that. There wouldn't be any trouble.
Well, if I'm to have a beautiful wife, I think I should at least know her name.
It's Susan Jones.
That begins to fit. Susan Jones, daughter of the American partner of Jones and Shang Pao. And you're after the yin seal, too.
How did you know?
Never mind. But why did Shang Pao say that you were dangerous?
Because he's after the seal for himself. And it belongs to me. It was my father's, not the company's. He's trying to steal it from me.
Or you from him.
Honestly, Mr. Fairburn.
Never mind. Where is the seal? Can we get it?
Easily. He keeps it in a strong box in his hotel room. He showed it to me. Oh, I could have got it long ago, but I couldn't have gotten away.
All right, now, how do we get out of here?
Would this help?
What? My gun. Definitely. Now...
If I were to call the guardian...
And I would... Yes, you're a very practical girl.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Bing Jai! Bing Jai!
Lie low, lie low.
Mắt để con à?
Heidi.
Mắt để con à? Nị kêu ngô chú mắt đã. Nị ngoan ngô.
Sorry, old boy. All right, Miss Jones. Lead the way. Shh. What's the matter?
He's in there. We'll have to do something.
What?
You leave it to me. You be ready when his back is turned.
Miss Jones, I don't think I should let you, a young lady from Virginia.
It's Grushenka.
Ah, my blossom. Come in. So, at last, you come to me, my sweet one.
Daragoy.
Come to my...
Good heavens, what did you do to him?
Simple. A judo trick. My father insisted I learn judo.
Did you kill him?
No. But he'll be asleep for a couple of hours. Long enough for us to get the seal and get out of here.
You back so soon, Master?
Come on, Naoto. We've got the seal. Let's go.
How are we going to travel?
We'll use this car.
That's General Coon.
So I see. And that's his chauffeur, no doubt. You two get ready to jump in. I'm going to say hello to him. Oh, I say, old man, how are you? Let me shake your hand. That's it. Ah! Okay, let's go. We're going to have to get rid of this car soon. Mouse, what's this village up ahead?
Kingpin.
Can we get a train there?
Oh, yes. Little train, sometime.
All right. Mao-Tzu, you get rid of the car. We'll see about the train. Bad luck. No trains until morning. We'll have to stay here overnight.
There's a little inn over there.
Not exactly the kind of place I'd usually take a girl from Virginia, but the only trouble is Mao-Tzu isn't back and I can't speak Chinese. How do you say 2 single rooms?
I can speak enough for that. Come on.
Yes? Who is it?
It's me, Susan.
Oh, just a minute. Hello.
May I come in?
Sure.
Here. I thought we really should have a drink. Sort of a toast to our escape.
Well, what is it?
Oh, some special kind of Chinese wine. The proprietor says it's very good.
I really don't think we should celebrate just yet.
Well, of course, if I'm repulsive to you.
Oh, no, nothing like that. You're
beautiful. Of course. So shall we drink to my beauty?
Yeah, to your beauty.
Oh, such a little sip. I'm more beautiful than that.
Oh, yeah.
Down the hatch. There, now, that's a big boy.
That wasn't bad. Not bad at all. Didn't know the Chinese made wine like that. You have more?
That'll be enough.
Well, what do you mean?
In about 2 minutes, you'll be fast asleep.
Asleep?
Some of these Chinese wines are interesting. Special. Something like a Mickey. I don't think you'll be terribly sick, though, when you wake up.
Susan, What is this?
Simple, dear. I can buy a lot of negligees like this one with that $50,000, and I don't intend to share it with Sheng Pao any more than he does with me. So, well, I really hate to trouble you, Lamb, but I need the seal, your safe conduct pass, and your gun.
Susan, you're a...
No names, Lammy. It isn't chivalrous. And you're a Virginia gentleman, remember?
Susan.
I'll leave you the cards, dear, so you can play solitaire. Bye-bye. Pleasant dreams.
Why, you... Oh, my head. How long has she been gone, Mao Tzu?
4 or 5 hours.
That's enough. We can't catch her now.
I think maybe yes.
How?
She take first train. It's slow train. We take next train. It's fast train. We catch her before she get to Hong Kong.
Good boy, Mao Tzu. Let's go. Miss Jones, I believe.
Oh, Randall.
Sorry to startle you, my dear. No, don't reach. I'll just take your bag. I suppose the seal and my gun and my safe conduct pass are inside. Thank you.
Oh, Randolph, honestly, I'm so glad to see you. I've been hating myself for what I did to you.
You have?
Oh, yes. I really like you, Randolph. I wouldn't have done it except I needed the seal. You know, a little old girl like me alone in the world. I am alone, you know, Randolph. And the seal was my only inheritance from my daddy. Mm-hmm. I'd be penniless without it. You wouldn't want that, would you, Randolph?
You wring my heart, Miss Jones.
All right. I suppose it's just as well, really. This way, at least, I won't be a criminal.
What do you mean?
It's you who'll be the criminal, you and Sheng Pao. Well, what are you going to do about it?
I don't know. I'll have to think.
Well, think fast. We'll be in Hong Kong in an hour. Well, Randolph, what are you going to do?
Come on. Let's get out of the station, then we can...
Greetings, old chap.
Just stand where you are.
And you too, mademoiselle.
Randolph, who are these men?
Some old friends. And this time I'm afraid they're prepared. I can feel their preparation in the small of my back.
Yeah, so march.
I'll bet you could have found a dirtier, smellier back room to bring us to.
Shut up.
They haven't got it.
He must have.
I tell you I've searched. They haven't got it.
Come on. Tell us, where is it?
Who are you working for, General Kung?
Where did you put it?
Put what, gentlemen?
You know all right, the seal.
I don't know. Maybe I lost it.
Ach,
Wait. Save it until the boss gets here. You'll know how to make them talk. Trust the Chinese.
Yeah, but it may be ours.
Well, here is cards. Why not play while we are waiting?
Well, that's an idea. Why not? You deal, Frenchy.
Randolph, darling, if General Kung...
Don't worry. I'll think of something.
I know you will. You're wonderful. But just in case, I want you to know I am sorry for what I did.
Hey, you kissed me.
Yes. Did you like it?
Yes, only down it my hands are tied. But I've got an idea. Just a minute.
All right, deal, my Frenchy.
What's the matter? Afraid to let me play with you? Afraid I'll beat you again?
Well, what do you say, chaps?
Why not? Yes, money. Our money.
I'll untie him. Raise.
Call.
3 tens.
3 aces.
3 aces.
4 deuces.
4 kings.
Straight flush.
Straight flush.
Royal flush.
Oh, he's cheating. He must be. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
Darling, you knocked them all out.
Uh-huh. What a mess. My cards all over the room.
Leave them. Let's get out of here. Listen, somebody's coming. Maybe it's the general. Hurry.
Just a minute. I've got to find... there. All right, let's go.
Good evening. Not leaving so soon?
Oh, Sheng Pao. So Mao Tzu found you. A good thing I sent him off to... But wait a minute. How did you know where to find us?
Perhaps if we will go back into...
No, wait a minute. We want to talk to you.
There is no need for me to talk to Miss Jones or to you. You are through. Just hand over the yin seal.
Randolph, he's got a gun.
So you are a double-crosser.
Randolph! There. Goodbye to Hong Kong.
Yes. Goodbye forever.
It will be good to see Virginia again, won't it, darling?
Yes. Although I left under something of a cloud, I suppose they'll give a married man a new chance.
No doubt of it, especially since he's reformed. Lanny, you've never told me, and I haven't asked you, but whatever you did with that seal, I'm glad we don't have it. It would have been wrong to start our married life with dishonesty like that.
Susan...
And now that you are married, there'll be no more fighting, and that means no more poker. And because it's a symbol of the old life, I brought up your pack of cards, and here's an end to it.
No, wait! Susan!
Why, Lanny, what is it? What's the matter? Well, I only threw your old pack of cards overboard. If it means that much, you can always get a new pack.
But you don't understand. In that pack of cards, concealed in the lining of the box, was the yin seal. You've just thrown $50,000 into the ocean.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented The Ambassador of Poker by Ahmed Abdullah, adapted for radio by John Dunkel. Featured in the cast were Elliot Reed as Randolph C. Fairburn, Lucille Meredith as Susan Jones, Ben Wright as Sheng Pao, Benson Fong as General Kung, and Richard Liu as Mao Tzu. Also heard were John Daner, Ramsey Hill, Bill Conrad, and Rick Vallon. Special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmar. Next week...
You are standing on an ancient pyramid hidden in the depths of Yucatan. Somewhere beneath your feet lies a sacred shrine with millions in jewels and gold. But from the impenetrable jungle and the fanatic high priests of the Mayas, there can be no escape.
Next week, we escape with the story of a man and woman whose lust for gold led them to dangerous defiance of the laws of a primitive but still powerful cult. As Les Crutchfield and Paul Pierce tell it in The Golden Snake. Goodbye, then, until the same time next week when, once again, we offer you Escape. Everyone wants to give a helping hand to America's crippled children. That's why everyone is buying Easter seals. Money from the sale of these seals helps to carry on the good work of the National Society for Crippled Children and Adults, which conducts an extensive program of education, research, and personal care for the physically handicapped. So, do your part by buying Easter seals. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to Yucatan with the man and woman who dare defy the curse of the ancient priests of Maya to find a hidden jungle shrine and millions in jewels and gold. As Les Crutchfield and Paul Pierce tell it in The Golden Snake.
It was mid-morning of the fourth day south from New Orleans when the rusty little freighter Carib Lady dropped a hook a mile off the port of Progreso and the broad-beam tender warped alongside. The port itself and the jungle peninsula of Yucatan beyond lay in steamy lethargy beneath an early blazing tropic sun. I was in a hurry. I wanted customs clearance as quickly as possible for myself and the helicopter I brought with me. Then I wanted a few bottles of that subtly bitter beer that they brew in Monterey. My mysterious employer, Dr. Conrad, was waiting at the Itza Hotel in Merida, 24 miles inland. But in heat like this, he could wait a few hours longer.
I beg your pardon.
Well.
I presume you're Stephen Lane.
Yeah, good presumption, you're right.
Well, I'm Gail Barry.
Hello, Gail.
I'm Dr. Conrad's secretary.
Oh. I begin to see how the jungle might have certain compensations.
Oh, you better slow down, Mr. Lane. You're going pretty fast, even for a pilot.
Helicopter pilot. Not so much on speed, but I do a lot of hovering, especially around green-eyed girls and cold bottles of beer. Would the former like to join me over the ladder?
I hope you can hang on to that sense of humor. You'll need it before this is over.
Before what's over?
A little late for curiosity, isn't it? You've already taken the job.
Yeah, sure. I was flat broke. When that $1,500 check of Conrad's went through the Miami bank like greased lightning, I pulled out my curiosity and cut its throat.
But now it's beginning to revive. Is that it?
I'm sorry, baby. I didn't know this was a state secret.
It isn't. You were hired to fly Dr. Conrad from Merida to a destination within a 200-mile radius and return for a fee of $5,000. What's secret about it?
Purpose of this trip, for one thing.
To visit ancient Mayan ruins buried in the jungle and only accessible by helicopter. Dr. Conrad is an archaeologist.
Must be a fairly profitable racket.
No, there's no profit in it at all.
Oh?
But, Steve, you said you were broke. Would a lot of money interest you? A lot more than $5,000?
How much more?
100 times that much.
Yeah? Yeah, I'd be interested. So?
Check through customs. And let's have that bottle of beer.
We had the beer, all right. But we didn't have any more conversation about money. Gail was beautiful, vivacious, and talkative, but on that subject, she clammed up tight. But at certain times and with certain people, money isn't everything. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon before we took off in the helicopter and flew south to Merida and Dr. Conrad.
You can look down from this balcony, Mr. Lane, and there lies the town of Merida, all silver in the moonlight. And you think it is nothing unusual, perhaps, but the town is Spanish, and beyond it is the jungle. And the jungle is still pure Mayan.
Unconquered, old, and wise. Yeah, I've heard that theory before, Dr. Conrad.
And you disagree with it, perhaps?
I don't know. I've been watching some of the natives around the hotel here this evening, and there is something about their expression or their eyes. I don't know.
Well, I've spent my life studying them, and I do know, Mr. Lane. The Mayans are one of the oldest and strangest races on the face of the earth. The jungle out there swallowed up their pyramids and their temples long ago, and the Spanish conquerors destroyed their records and writings. But they still speak the language, and they still remember. I think it's something in their eyes, as you noticed.
About the trip that we're going on, is it to one of these ruined temples or pyramids?
Yes.
Where?
South and east, more or less, within 200 miles of here. We'll have to follow landmarks.
You've been there before, then?
Yes. There are no trails and no water. Snakes, army ants, fever. Average progress is 2 miles a day.
And I assume that the purpose of the trip is archaeological exploration?
Of course, Mr. Lane. I would have no...
Dr. Conrad, I checked the invoices for the equipment. They're all correct. I left them in your room.
Fine. Thank you, Miss Barry. I'll sign them later.
All right, Dr. Conrad. I'll be in my room if you want me for anything. Good night, Mr. Lane.
Oh, good night, Miss Barry. Look, Dr. Conrad, I think it's about time you told me the real purpose of this trip.
But I did tell you. What makes you think that there was...
Look, $5,000 is too much money for a 3-day flying trip to look over some ruins. So?
Mr. Lane, can you keep your mouth shut?
That depends.
There'll be more in it than $5,000 if it goes all right.
Illegal, I suppose?
No, but dangerous. More dangerous than you can ever imagine.
What kind of danger?
From the Mayans. This involves a violation of the most sacred shrine in their history, the theft of their most sacred object, one they won't even admit exists.
Oh, treasure hunt, huh?
Not a hunt, Mr. Lane. I've seen the object. I know where it is.
Is Miss Barry in on this?
She's merely the secretary of a scientific expedition. You and I are the only ones who know different.
What about the men who were with you before?
They were interested only in the ruins. They never saw the treasure.
Yeah, but they do know the location of the place.
No, Mr. Lane. Not anymore.
Well, why not?
Because all 4 of them are dead.
Yes. I can also tell you why Dr. Conrad didn't want to talk about it, Steve. It's because of that obsession of his. That fear of the Mayans and their vengeance.
Yeah, but you feel it yourself. You told me earlier.
No. Not fear. Something else. Something deeper. Oh, Steve, please, get out of my room now. If Dr. Conrad found you in here, it would ruin everything.
Honey, look, if I'm going to play games, I've got to know the odds.
But I've already told you Dr. Conrad had nothing to do with their death.
I know. 4 fatal accidents within a year. What kind of accidents?
Different kinds. The first one happened 6 months after the joint expedition. Dr. Bentley and the original pilot took off from Merida and crashed in the jungle 10 miles from town. They were both killed. The native guide got out with a broken leg.
I see.
2 months later, Dr. Pelton started overland through the jungle. A week out of Merida, he was bitten by a snake and died at one of the native Chicle camps.
And the other man?
His name was Dr. Blom. He tried to come north from Guatemala by canoe and was drowned when it capsized.
Oh, by himself, was he?
No. His native guide recovered the body.
Native guide. In every case, it was a Mayan native. In at the death, you might say.
Yes. That's what worries Dr. Conrad.
Look, were all of these men trying to get back to that same temple?
I think so.
Because of the treasure?
Probably. They knew they'd found the long-lost temple of Kukulkan, and they knew the legend.
All right. Where do you fit in?
What's the difference, Steve? You don't mind, do you?
Mine? I like it. I also like to know the score.
I'll do better by you than Conrad would. Much better.
All right, baby. I'll buy that. Only there's one thing. Conrad hasn't told this to anybody before. How did you find out?
From my father, Steve. Before he was drowned in the river in Guatemala. My real name, it's Blom.
Yeah, I'd figured. Even though she'd never been to Yucatan before, she'd learned enough Mayan history and legend from her father to worm her way into Conrad's employ. The treasure, whatever it was, belonged to her as much as to Conrad. And given halfway even odds, I'd rather play Gale's game any day in the week, and twice on Sundays. I lay on the hammock in my room for an hour, I guess. The lamp out, the moonlight splotching silver patterns through the bamboo slats of the blinds. I smoke one cigarette after another while I try to fit all the pieces into place. I was tired, but I'd had several drinks of Johnny Walker that I'd brought along, and I wasn't asleep, that's for sure. So I don't know why I didn't hear the door open.
Please do not be alarmed, Senor Lane.
Huh?
Lie still, make no outcry, and listen.
You will not be harmed.
For some odd reason, I couldn't move. I couldn't cry out. It took great effort just to turn my head and look at him.
It is our desire to warn you because you are not aware of the thing you dare to do. Dr. Conrad knows, and he deserves no warning.
In the scattered moonlight, I could see very little of his face except the eyes. The eyes of a Mayan. They seemed very wise and 1,000 years old, like the eyes of newborn babies.
I say to you once, and only once, go not to the temple of Kukulkan.
There seemed to be a strange music playing far off.
The plumed serpent of gold must lie hidden for 5,000 years, and the time is not yet. To alter the time is to die.
For just an instant, the moonlight shifted, and I saw the golden band around his forehead, raised in the front and fashioned into the feathered head of a snake.
You have been warned, Senor Lane. I go.
Closing of the door seemed to break the spell, and I lunged for the pistol on the table beside my bed. Only it wasn't a bed, it was a hammer. Oh, confound!
Senor Lane! Oh. Senor Lane, is anything wrong?
Oh!
Senor Lane!
Come on in!
I was passing along the hall and heard the noise.
Who are you, anyway?
Rodolfo Moreno. I am the night collector.
Look, did you see the man who came out of my door just before the noise?
What, senor? No one came out.
What?
Well, I was only a few feet away. The hall is well lighted.
But there was someone in here. I saw him. I heard him talking. He was a Mayan.
Senor Lane, sometimes one from the north requires a day or two for becoming accustomed to the tropics. And I must tell you, the beer in Mexico is a little more strong than you may think.
No, wait a minute.
So you sleep now, we talk about it mañana, eh? Buenas noches, senor. Buenas noches.
There wasn't much point in doing anything but follow the night clerk's advice. I couldn't very well go to Conrad and tell him a mysterious Mayan had come to my room to warn me, when the clerk had sworn he'd seen no one. I didn't see how Gail could help much. I didn't want to worry her without some definite reason. So, after a long time, I grew drowsy and fell asleep.
Senor Lane, wake up. It is I, Moreno. Wake up, senor.
All right. Wait a minute. What is it, Moreno? What's wrong?
Your friend, senor. Dr. Conrad. His heart, I think.
What? What do you mean?
Well, I hear him cry out. I go for help, but it was too late, senor. He is dead.
In just a moment, we will return you to the second act of Escape. But first, Molly Goldberg's warm-hearted approach to life has gotten her into mix-ups over and over. But this Saturday night, Molly really shoots the works. Molly and Jake have planned a motor trip to Florida. But when the people who've been invited to ride along get together, Grand Central Station couldn't hold them all. What happens to the trip? Be listening this Saturday night when the Goldbergs bring their warm, rich humor to most of these same CBS stations. And now, for the second act of Escape.
I went with the night clerk to Dr. Conrad's room. Met the local physician who had been called to the hotel. Told him to go ahead with whatever arrangements were necessary. There seemed nothing else to do. Dr. Conrad had died in his bed, apparently unmolested. His room was undisturbed, and Moreno, who from his desk had a clear view of the length of the hall, said that no one had entered or left. Apparent cause of death, heart failure. But in a room a half hour later, Gail disagreed with such a simple verdict.
There was nothing wrong with his heart, Steve. He died of fright. Sheer fright. I know he did.
All right, honey, all right. But what caused the fright?
The Mayans. Maybe the same one you said came to your room.
No, I'm not sure whether anyone did or not. Maybe the night clerk was right. Maybe I imagined it.
He is a native, you know.
Another Mayan, huh? Well, I could have been dreaming, or drunk. I don't know.
It won't work, Steve. How could you have dreamed up the gold band he wore on his head? The same band worn by the high priest of Kukulkan 1,000 years ago.
I don't know. That's what gets me.
Had you even heard of the plumed serpent of gold before?
No.
Or the 5,000 years of hiding?
No, of course not.
They're all all a part of Mayan legend, Steve. You had to learn them somewhere.
Gail, you said Conrad had an obsession. What about you?
I don't know. Before I came to Yucatan, I had only one idea. To get my share of that treasure one way or another. Mayan legends were nothing more than that. But down here, it's different. Things touch you somehow. Inside.
You mean you're scared, isn't that it?
Not exactly. It's something deeper. I don't know.
And against that something deeper, there are how many dollars?
Around $2 million, I think, from things Dr. Conrad let slip.
How did he plan to dispose of them?
There's a buyer in Mexico City. No questions asked. Conrad wanted his name kept out of it.
Made of vengeance again, huh?
Yes.
Look, would this buyer deal with us?
Of course. Why should he care who brings it?
Do you know the landmarks of the pyramid? This temple of Kukulkan?
Yes, but... Steve, I am not sure, but...
Look, honey, look. I've got a helicopter out there at the edge of town. Within 200 miles is a fortune for the taking. Baby, I've been broke too much of my life to back down from a few pipe dreams and a heart attack. How about it, baby, huh?
Oh, it's no fun to be broke.
Yeah, but it might be a lot of fun if we weren't.
You're awfully hard to resist.
Oh, I hope so, baby. Because I've got some other ideas, too, you know. What do you say?
Oh, if I said no, I'd be a fool, I suppose.
Oh, then don't say it. We'll both be over the jitters by morning. And one thing, we won't have to worry about accidents. Our expedition won't have any Mayans along.
Oh, Steve, I told you Dr. Blum was my father. He met my mother in Mexico City. She died right after I was born. But she came originally from Yucatan. And she was a Mayan.
Can you tell now, Gail? Are you sure this is it? We won't land if you're not.
I think so. There's the old stone roadbed in the jungle to the south. The pyramid runs southeast-northwest. The temple ruins are at the north. The jungle has grown up over the west slope. All the landmarks check, Steve. This is it.
All right, honey, hang on. We're going down. The Mayans didn't know it, but when they built these pyramids flat top, they were getting ready for the helicopters. We're down.
It's terribly quiet, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, especially after hearing that egg beater for the last 3 hours. Well, may as well have a look. Come on, jump, baby. I'll give you a hand.
Thanks.
Well, they've certainly let the old place run down.
It's lain here like this for more than 1,000 years, Steve. Full moons and dark moons, rains, lightning, sun and wind. Nothing moving. Only the jungle, growing and growing and creeping up over it.
Hey, now, baby, relax.
We shouldn't have come here at all. We are only interlopers, strangers, not wanted.
Well, maybe they like us better when we're rich, huh?
There's no use joking about it, Steve. I think you feel it, too. We are in some terrible danger here, some kind we've never known before. It's like we're being watched. Only there are no watchers.
Well, not unless you count that parrot there in the lianas.
A parrot. A feathered bird. A feathered snake.
Now, look, Gail, look, we've talked this all out. We're here now. We're going to go through with it. I admit that I feel just as... Well, this morbid talk of yours isn't helping anything.
I'm sorry, Steve. I feel so strange. Oh, it's just nerves. Forget it.
Okay, baby. It's a deal. Come on. Let's go find that cave. Gail had learned from Dr. Conrad that the treasure lay in a chamber inside the pyramid, reached by a tunnel which opened somewhere along the west face. And the length of rope he'd specified in the equipment, we knew about how far down the west face. So we started working our way along at that level. Gale carried the rope, flashlights, and a hacksaw, while I swung a machete against the lush growth of jungle that made every yard of progress a measure of hard work and sweat. It was late afternoon before I slashed through a green thicket of banana palms and saw it before me. Black and forbidding. Framed in hieroglyphic stone was the squat, square mouth of the tunnel. Its floor was paved with bricks velveted in green moss, undertrodden for centuries. A cool draft floated out against the jungle heat, inviting and repelling. Gal and I looked at one another for a long moment, saying nothing. And then, flashlights in hand, we walked into the tunnel. Careful, honey, careful. Ceiling's low in places.
I'm watching, Steve. There may be snakes.
Our boots ought to protect us. Seems to be widening out a little.
I think maybe... Yes. There's a room right ahead, Steve.
Good. Wonder if there's anybody home.
Steve, don't joke, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Here we are.
Oh, it's a big room.
Yeah. I'll say it is, and I wonder where it's...
Steve! Swing your light over there. Look.
On a raised stone dais in the center of the cave, gleaming and glittering in the blaze of our lights, was a great figure wrought in plates of pure gold. A massive golden snake studded and jeweled with feathers of cut emerald.
Steve, it's Kukulkan, the plumed serpent of gold.
$2 million, baby. $3 million is closer, maybe 4. Why, the gold alone and those emeralds.
Let's go now. Now, Steve, before it's too late.
It must weigh a ton. Now I see why Conrad included hacksaws in the equipment. Here, honey, you owe my life.
What are you going to do?
Old money bags has to be cut up before we can pack them out. May as well see how much of a job it'll be.
Steve! No!
Yeah, what's the matter?
There's something here. Something old and wise and powerful. It's watching us. I can feel it.
Oh, now wait, baby. Don't...
Anyway, it's really too late to do anything today. We've seen it now, Steve. Let's leave it just the way it is. Just until tomorrow. It's almost dark now. Please. Please, Steve.
All right, Gal, all right. Come on, let's get out of here. I pitched our camp on the level top of the pyramid, not far from the helicopter. Spread our sleeping bags and built a fire in a pile of stones. It was dark by the time we'd eaten, and a round full moon flooded the ruins and the miles of empty jungle with an eerie light. I lay back and I watched Gail sitting across the fire from me, staring into the strange night, lost in her own thoughts. An odd thing had happened while I was gathering rocks for the fireplace. I lifted a large flat stone and found under it a golden band like the one worn by the Mayan who'd come to my room. Gail had put it on her head without a word, and it fit perfectly. She still wore it, and now and then the polished gold caught flashes of light from the fire and from the moon. It was very late when I drifted off to sleep. It must have been a sound that woke me, but I think it was the odor that seeped into my sleep. That was it, the odor. Pungent, aromatic, and for a moment, unidentifiable. And then I came suddenly awake, saw by the fire's embers that Gail's sleeping bag was empty. I sprang to my feet. At the moment, I recognized the odor of raw gasoline. Saw the dark surface of the helicopter glistening and wet in the moonlight, and saw Gail walking toward it with a flaming stalk of dry thatch in her hand. Gail, what are you doing? No, stop it! She paid no attention, stood like a sleepwalker watching the burning plane she'd set afire, the golden band gleaming on her forehead. Then I was running, stumbling headlong toward her. Gail, come back, Gail! She didn't hear me. She moved slowly away, looking towards something that I couldn't see beyond the fire. Nor did I see the vine that caught my foot and sent me crashing onto the sharp rock. I lay there on the ground, unable to move, half blinded by concussion. By the blood that ran into my eyes, I tried to call out again and could make no sound. I could see Gail moving away past the burning plane, swaying as she walked, trance-like and alien. I seemed to hear again the weird music of Merida far off somewhere in the night. And then, in truth or in delirium, in the shadows, past the fire, I saw them. Saw them waiting for Gale. They were clothed in white, and their eyes were Mayan, wise and old and powerful. And on each forehead gleamed a golden band, the high priest of Kukulkan.
Senor, you feel better now, no?
Better? I don't know. Who are you?
Only a poor farmer, senor.
Farmer? Where am I?
In my casa, senor. You have been very ill from a bad wound to the head.
But how did I get here?
3 days ago, you come from the jungle, fell at my door. I take care of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sometimes you fight with me, say crazy words. But I know it is only the head is broken.
I was running. I fell against a rock. I just can't remember much after that.
No matter, senor. Tomorrow I take you to Merida.
To Merida? But how can you?
But so simple. In my cart with the burro. It is only 7 miles.
7 miles? But I was 200 miles from here.
Okay, sorry, senor. 3 days ago you come out from the jungle.
Tell me something. Are you a Mexican?
Well, senor, I am a citizen of Mexico, but by birth, I am Mayan.
I have flown 5 times since into Yucatan, into the dark lands and the uncharted jungles. I've searched through tumbled ruins, moss-grown, rotted. I've built fires on ancient pyramids at night and cried aloud to the silent moon. But never again found the temple of Kukulkan, nor the plumed serpent of gold, or a beautiful girl named Gale. And I know I never will.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robson. Tonight we have presented The Golden Snake, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield from an original story by Paul Pierce. Featured in the cast were Anthony Barrett as Steve Lane, Jeanette Nolan as Gail Barry, and John Hoyt as Dr. Conrad. Also heard were Rick Vallon, Harry Bartell, and Paul Freaks. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week...
You are stranded on the Yangtze River, 1,500 miles from Shanghai, and in the midst of all the displaced humanity of China, somehow you have been marked for destruction from which there is no escape.
Next week, we escape with an exciting tale of fear, intrigue, and danger on one of the most colorful rivers of the world, as John and Gwen Bagney tell it in The Shanghai Document. CBS famous anti-crime series Gangbusters presents a real-life police story, The Case of the Wise Young Owl, this Saturday night. Remember to be tuned in to CBS, where Arthur Godfrey's digest of wit and humor is heard every Saturday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy have become infected with a dangerous, weakening sickness and are frantically searching a laboratory on Venus, hoping to find the one medicine that will cure them.
If we don't get some of that solution soon, we'll be of no use to ourselves or anyone. Believe me, sir. Right now, I'm just going on my own momentum. Up there on the top shelf, I found it. Yeah. That's it. That's the remedy. Be careful lifting it down. It's probably all there is in the whole place. We'll only get it to the ship before Drokov finds us. Commander, it's Drokov. And he's got a blast gun. Commander, the blast smashed the bottle. The medicine's gone.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Fugitive from Tolarma.
Hi, Space Patrollers. Commander Corey here. How'd you like to have a soda fountain in your home? You can, you know. I'm not kidding. If you have a big brown yellow can of Nestle's Quick on the shelf, your kitchen is a real soda fountain. Because Nestle's Quick makes the smoothest, richest chocolate milk you've ever tasted. That's the kind of drink you could never make at home before. And now, well, you can have it any time you like. Quick fixes so fast it practically makes itself. Now listen to this. You just pour yourself a glass of milk. That comes first. Then you add 2 teaspoons of Nestle's Quick. Quick starts right in the mix itself. All you have to do is spoon it around once or twice. And there you are. A big, frosty, cool glass of chocolate milk that tastes just like those delicious Nestle's chocolate bars. You can't beat that anywhere. Quick gives you something more. It helps build strong bones and sound teeth because it's fortified with vitamin D. Now, believe me, fellows and girls, you're going to love having Quick around for easy fixing, for solid nourishment, and for delicious soda fountain treats. Mom will see that when you have Nestle's Quick, you drink your milk up better than ever. So today, ask her to bring home the big brown and yellow can of Nestle's Quick. That's Q-U-I-K, Quick. And it's delicious.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Fugitive from Tolarma. Drokov, a criminal from another solar system, is using a strange and powerful weapon to gain control of the United Planets. By releasing millions of microscopic spores from a poisonous plant into a city's atmosphere, he can reduce the entire population to spiritless automatons, lacking both the energy and desire to cure the condition that afflicts them. Commander Corey has been able to save Saturn City from the epidemic thanks to the aid of Gelwin, a galactic prime investigator from the Tolarma star system. Right now in Space Patrol headquarters at Saturn City, Buzz and Happy face the task of capturing Drokov before he can strike again.
Here, Hap. This is the latest report from the medical section. Put it with the others. Yes, sir. All the documents you wanted to take with us are right here on the desk. Quite a stack. Now that the panic's over, what good are they? You'll know what to expect if Drokov spreads his poisonous plant as weed of despair in some other city. I hope we nab him before he has a chance. What we saw here in Saturn City could happen to a whole planet. Millions of people with nothing wrong with them physically, but with a weariness of spirit, a complete loss of vitality. And that wouldn't take much to conquer such a planet. Well, there's one consolation. It doesn't take very much of the remedy to cure the sickness. Don't forget, every drop of the solution we had was used up here in Saturn City. Drokov controls the rest. Well, how about Dr. Arnold's experiments? Didn't he tell us that he was sure he could duplicate the chemical structure of the remedy? It's a matter of whether Dr. Arnold can stay on his feet till the job's finished. With Carol to help him, he may succeed. We can't count on Dr. Arnold performing a chemical miracle. We've got to find Drokov. It's going to be tough. We don't even know what he looks like. We've got a good ally in Gelwin. He knows Drokov's methods. He's just as anxious to capture Drokov as we are. Get it, will you? Yes, sir. Get it Happy here. Yes, Sergeant. Oh, just a moment, please. Commander, it's communications. Probably Carol. I'll take it. Go ahead.
Hello, Buzz. How are things in Saturn City?
Well, fine, Carol. Transportation is 90% normal. Communications a little better than that.
Wonderful. Any new cases?
None reported. Everything's pretty well under control.
Any word about Drok?
No. Gelwin hasn't reported in since 700 hours. I let him take a Space Patrol cruiser to check the lead out toward Jupiter. How are you and Dr. Arnold coming along?
Well, I'm fine. Dr. Arnold's in the Carroll Hospital. Collapsed his chest a while ago.
Is it serious?
He's supposed to have complete rest and quiet for 24 hours. He's trying to decipher his notes. Believe me, it's some job.
Are you close to anything definite, or is it too early to tell?
I don't want to be too optimistic, Buzz, but it looks good. Awfully good. The doctor's last experiment cracked the key to the protein chain.
Well, that's great.
Only get his notes and ship. Our lab chemist has been able to make the remedy synthetic.
Fine. But don't work too hard. Remember what happened to Dr. Arnold.
So much depends on his buzz, I couldn't slow down if I wanted to.
All right, Carol. Happy and I are blasting off for Terra right away. We'll see you in a few hours.
I'll be at Dr. Arnold's lab, Buzz. And with good news, I hope.
Good luck. Hurry out.
She really sounds like she was on the right track, doesn't she?
Yes, sir. If she is, we'll be prepared for Brokoff's next epidemic of despair. Let's get to the spaceport.
Upon landing at Terra, Buzz and Happy go at once to Dr. Arnold's laboratory. There they find Carol slumped in a chair, exhausted. Scattered about the floor are crumpled slips of paper filled with chemical formulae.
Hi, Carol. Nobody answered our knock, so we barged right in. Hey, Carol.
Carol. Carol.
Hello, Buzz.
How did you make out?
Make out?
With the experiments for the remedy.
Oh, right. Hey, it's no use. It's all so futile.
You sounded so confident in the spaceableness and so on.
Oh, you're just tired, Carol. Here, I'll pick up the notes, and later when you're rested...
Throw them in the rubbish disintegrator. That's what I was going to do, and I felt up to it.
Oh, look at it. Raise your head.
Yes, sir.
Look at that. Her eyes. They've got dark circles around them. They look sort of glassy.
I thought about this ordinary fatigue, but something else.
Come on. She looks just like those people on Saturn.
Carol, who else has been in this lab besides you and Dr. Arnold?
No one.
Now, think carefully. Has anyone been in here? Anyone at all? Those flowers over there on the table, how did they get here?
The messenger brought them.
Where are they from?
I forget the cards in the basket.
Get it, Happy.
Oh, yes, sir.
Carol hasn't been off Terra. I think she caught the sickness here. It hasn't affected Dr. Arnold. His case is entirely different. What's on that card?
It's printed, sir. It says, to Miss Carol Carlisle with the compliments of the management of Sun Gardens, Venus.
Carol, what is this Sun Gardens, do you know?
It's a new park or something. Flowers are a promotion stunt, I suppose.
That means hundreds of baskets may have been sent out. Pat, let's look at those flowers.
There must be a dozen different kinds, eh? And what I know about flowers, you could engrave on a tulip seed.
Tulips grow from bulbs.
Proves my point.
This proves mine. Look at this thing hidden among the flowers.
The weed with the purple pod. Brokoff.
We've got to seal up this lab and get Carol to the hospital. And we've got to find out who else received flowers from Brokoff.
Near the banks of the turquoise river on the planet Venus is a group of buildings once used as field offices by the Venus Fruit Company. Now the small settlement serves as a base of operations for Brokoff, a criminal sought by the interplanetary police of 2 solar systems. At this moment, Brokoff stands before a small plastic dome as his accomplice, Larch Feister, emerges, cautiously shuts the door tightly, and removes the heavy mask and gloves.
I'd rather do anything in the universe than go into that dome with the wasps. Anything. Well, then you shouldn't object to your next assignment.
What is it, Brokoff?
The Secretary General's daughter, Carol, is quite sick. And it appears that I am the only one who can cure her.
Well, then your plan worked. You got the flowers.
Yes, most unfortunate. She was working on a process to cure the very sickness that attacked her.
Well, you told me the only cure comes from those insects in there, those wasps.
That's right, Feister. The insects feed on that plant, and their bodies develop an antitoxin. But forget the wasps. I want you to take the spaceship and contact Commander Corey.
Contact Corey?
Yes, by spaceophone. You will present my terms for curing the daughter of the Secretary General.
Now, Brokoff, listen. If you get into trouble, you can get away to another solar system, but I'm a citizen of the United Planets. I can't afford
You should have thought of that before. It's too late to back out now. Now, here are your instructions.
Elsewhere in Commander Corey's central office on Terra, Buzz inserts a spool of microtape in the playback machine.
Listen to this, Happy. Communications picked up this message and recorded it.
Yes, sir.
Attention, all Space Patrol communication centers. This is a message to Commander Corey. Relay it to him immediately. I'm speaking for Brokoff, the only person in the entire universe who can restore the health of Carol Carlisle. Don't waste time trying to locate the source of this signal. Just listen.
From a spaceship, isn't it?
Carol Carlisle will be completely cured if you cooperate. Bring Carol in the sum of 50,000 credits to the point in space which I will give you in a moment. Upon payment of this money, Carol will be given enough of the remedy to effect the cure. Do not attempt to capture Brokoff's ship either before or after our rendezvous in space. Here are your instructions. Your ship with Carol and the 50,000 credits must be at the intersection of the Mars orbit and space meridian 84.06 at 1300 hours.
That's it, Hank. As You can see Brokoff's being very keen.
If we could only grab Brokoff first.
We don't have any lead on him. Our agents have checked the employees of Sun Gardens and Venus. They're all clear. Brokoff or one of his men managed to put that poisonous plant in the basket intended as a plant.
How about the other basket?
They've been examined. Carl was the only one who received the weed of despair.
Well, how about Gelvin? Maybe he's located Brokoff.
No word from Gelvin. It's all up to us.
What are we going to do?
The one thing we can do to save Carol. Put her and the money aboard Terra 5 and head for the Mars orbit.
At 1300 hours, the Terra 5 approaches the rendezvous point. As a private cruiser draws close, Buzz and Happy wait anxiously for a spaceophone signal. But Carol, whose life depends on the success of this mission, sits bored and silent in the control compartment, showing no interest in proceeding.
That must be Brokoff's ship. Why don't we cut on the spaceophone?
Brokoff might interpret it as a signal for other space patrols. Because of Carol, we'll have to play it Brokoff's way.
Brokoff calling Commander Corey aboard the Terra 5.
Here we go.
Corey here. Go ahead, Brokoff.
So far, Corey, you seem to have obeyed my instructions. There are no ships visible in our view scope.
They've been ordered to remain outside a 10,000 DU perimeter of this point until Carol is safely back on Terra.
That's very good. Now, when we join airlock with your ship, you will send Carol through the airlock with the 50,000 credits.
Just a matter of giving her a few ounces of the solution. Why don't you come aboard our ship?
Because I don't trust you. Send Carol into my cruiser alone.
How do I know I can trust you?
You have no other choice if you want to save Carol.
All right, join airlocks. I'll send her aboard. Corey out. Carol. Carol, are you listening?
Yes, Buzz.
Are you willing to walk alone to the airlock in the other ship?
Yes, Buzz, I'm so tired.
Carol, listen. If you do this one little thing for me, you can have a nice long nap. No one will bother you. How about it?
All right.
We're in contact, sir.
Come on, Carol. It won't take long. On your feet. I'll help you to the airlock. Steady now.
Gee, Commander, I'm getting worried. Carol's been in Brokoff's ship for nearly an hour.
We're in no position to pressure him. I've got to find out what the trouble is. Corey, calling Brokoff. Brokoff, what's wrong over there?
Nothing, Commander. Everything's just fine.
Well, what's the delay? Shouldn't take you an hour to count 50,000 credits.
Oh, the money is quite satisfactory, Corey. I've merely been waiting for Carol to get up enough energy to return to your ship. She was in quite a weakened condition, you know.
Then let one of us come and get her. I guarantee I won't try anything.
Carol is on her feet now and on her way through the airlock.
All right, Brokoff, forget this. We're not cutting our holding field until we're satisfied you gave her the remedy for the sickness.
You'll see the improvement immediately, Corey. Brokoff out.
Maybe you're telling the truth, sir.
That's possible. All Carol can do to get into Brokoff's ship. The remedy takes some time to have an effect.
She's at the inner hatch, sir.
All right, hatch open.
Hi, Carol.
Brokoff. I decided to bring Miss Carol back personally. And don't move. I got a gun in her back.
What's the idea, Brokoff?
I changed my plans, Corey.
Carol, are you all right? Did he give you that medicine?
Yes, I drank something, but I don't understand all this. I'm afraid I said something I shouldn't.
He told me about some experiments of hers.
Buzz, I didn't realize what I was doing.
I can't let that knowledge out of my control. I'm taking the three of you with me.
But you promised.
And just to make sure there'll be no trouble... And now, Carol, if you want to keep your friends alive, you'll do as I say.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Do, re, mi.
Well, Lisa, are you getting ready for a concert?
Yes, I am, Captain Two-Face. I'm going to sing our gang's favorite song.
I'd sure like to hear that. Would you give me a little preview?
Sure. Nestles, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate. How do you like it?
Oh, I love it, Issa. Matter of fact, when you sing about Nestle's new coconut bar, I think it's everybody's favorite.
I'm crazy about coconuts. Gee, what a wonderful chocolate bar. So thick and sweet and smooth and rich. And all that crispy coconut inside. Golly, I just can't get enough of it.
Yes, Nestle's new coconut bar makes me feel that way, too. Can't get enough of that wonderful chocolate flavor and that fresh toasted coconut. You know, it's so crisp and so much fun to eat, I think we ought to have some right now. That is, of course, if you can eat before your concert.
Gee, I can eat a Nestle's coconut bar anytime. Smoking rockets, this is the greatest. Honestly, gang, You ought to try the sensational new Nestle coconut bar in the red and cream colored wrapper. Just one taste of this terrific new flavor combination, and you'll love it just as I do.
Matter of fact, Space Patrollers, you'll go for all of Nestle's rich, smooth, luscious chocolate bars. You can take your pick of rich milk chocolate, almond chocolate, crunchy crunch, or the brand new Nestle's coconut.
Whatever your favorite is, remember, Nestles, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Fugitive from Tolarma. The Secretary General's daughter, Carol, was suffering from a rapid loss of vitality caused by a plant known as the Weed of Despair. Brokoff, who controls the entire supply of the only remedy, offered to cure Carol for 50,000 credits. After treating Carol, he entered the Terra 5 using the girl as a shield and rendered Buzz and Happy unconscious with a ray gun. Right now, the Space Patrollers and Carol are prisoners aboard Brokoff's private cruiser.
You're a dirty double-crosser, Brokoff. If I could get my hands free...
Stop wasting my time with your empty threats. Remember, I could easily have thrown you out into space.
We know why you didn't. It'd be hard to explain our disappearance to the Space Patrol when you're caught.
There is another reason, Corey. If I had destroyed you, Carol would refuse to give me the information I want.
What information?
On how antitoxin for the Weed of Despair can be produced synthetically. She and Dr. Arnold seem to have blundered onto the answer.
If I told you anything, it was because I was weak and didn't realize what I was doing. I won't tell you any more.
Oh, yes, you will. Unless you want to see your friends suffer.
Brokoff, did you ever consider what would happen if the sickness got out of control and you couldn't stop it?
No, that has happened in another solar system.
Tolarma. That's why Galvin's after you.
I will take care of Galvin just as I'm taking care of you.
What do you do with our ship? Blow it up?
No, Corey. My assistant Pfister is going to hide it on one of Jupiter's moons. It will serve as a spare star drive ship in case we suddenly have to leave your solar system.
Who's Pfister? Is he from Tolarma, too?
Oh, no. He's one of your own citizens. He'll join me on Venus in another ship after he hides the Terra 5. And now, if you will excuse me, I'll get to the controls. We are approaching Venus.
Landing near the abandoned buildings near the Turquoise River, Brokoff forces his passengers from the ship at gunpoint. He locks Carol in one building, then takes Buzz and Happy to a structure adjoining a small, transparent dome that shields the wasps and the poisonous plants.
Right in here, gentlemen.
What are you going to do with Carol?
It depends on how well she cooperates. There is a small laboratory here. Possibly she and I can manufacture a cure for the sickness.
How will you know if you've succeeded?
It's very simple. We will test it on you.
On us? We haven't got the sickness.
No, not yet. But you soon will. Do you see that air duct up near the ceiling?
What about it?
Well, it leads to that small plastic dome next to this building. When I turn a valve, air from that dome will enter this room. Air containing millions of spores from those purple weeds. And when I return, you will have lost your will to resist. You will be quiet, docile, and weak.
You're going to use us as guinea pigs, is that it?
Exactly. And if you're hoping I'll be affected too, I am very sorry to disappoint you. The remedy has made me immune to the spores. I'll see you later, gentlemen.
Well, now what can I do? We'd stand a fat chance of breaking that door down. And the window's too small to crawl through.
Maybe there's something in here we could use to plug up that air duct.
There's nothing in the room. No rags, paper, or anything. Oh, yeah, got it. Our jackets. If we could remove the screen from the vent and stuff our jackets in there.
Good idea.
Brokoff's opened the valve. Air's feeding through from the dome.
Happy. I'll boost you up on my shoulders. You stuff your jacket into the vent. Let the sleeve hang down so we can grab it in a hurry.
Yes, sir.
When we hear Brokoff at the door, get your jacket on quickly. We put him to be weak and groggy, like Carol was.
Great.
Okay, let's work fast. Up you go. Right. How's that, Happy?
Oh, fine, sir. I can reach the vent okay. Now to take my jacket off. From the look of that screen, it won't be any trouble. I'll just tie it off and... Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
The vent pipe is full of wasps. They must have been sucked in from the dome by the rush of air. When I take the screen off, they'll come swarming into the room.
Maybe we won't be stung. Move very slowly. Most people are stung by bees and wasps because they get excited and thrash their arms around. Just take it easy.
Don't worry, Commander. I will. I wonder when Brokaw's coming back. I hope it's soon. I'm afraid some of that contaminated air is getting in here in spite of the jacket. How do you feel, Harry? To tell you the truth, I'm sort of tired. Remember, when Brokaw does come in, he comes a week. If he doesn't come in pretty soon, he won't be pretending. Anyway, we didn't get stung by the wasps. You were right about moving slowly, sir. There are several in here in the room, and they haven't even come near us. Somebody's outside. Look out, pull your jacket out of the way. Yes, sir. I hope it doesn't stir up the wasp. I hope it does. Don't bother putting it on. I'm tired.
Well, gentlemen, how do you feel? Aren't you going to answer me? Well, it doesn't matter. Come on. Come on, I said.
What for?
Yes, Brokaw. We aren't causing any trouble.
No, not you, but Carol is. She won't cooperate. But if she could see me work you over some, she might change her attitude. Let's go.
Oh, why don't you bring Carol here?
I said move.
Do I have to?
A very definite symptom. No sensitivity to pain. Well, maybe you will feel... What? How did they get in here?
It was all right till you stirred them up. Come on, Happy, let's get out of here. Yes, sir. This wasp will keep Brokaw busy for a while. We'll get Carol.
I slugged him, but it didn't even phase him.
I know. The poison plan is taking effect. We're both weak. No match for Brokaw.
Here's where he locked Carol up.
It's locked.
I wonder if we've got enough strength to break it down.
Let's hit it together with all we've got.
1, 2, 3. It's giving way. Once more.
Why, Pappy?
Come on, Carol. Brokaw will be after us pretty quick.
Yeah, we couldn't disarm him.
Oh, if only we can get to his ship and blast off.
First, we got to get some of that remedy for the sickness. Where's the lab, do you know?
I think it's that building over there, Bob.
Come on.
Do we have to get the remedy now? I feel fine.
It's not for you, Carol. It's for us.
Into the lab, quick, before Brokaw sees us. Well, we made it. Start searching. Remember what to look for on the label, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Why, you mean that you and Hap have been infected?
That's right, Kevin. Trying to fight it, but if we don't get some of that solution soon, it'll be of no use to ourselves or anybody.
Believe me, right now, I'm just going on my own momentum.
Keep searching, Hank. We have to drop out of the fight. That just leaves Delvin to get Brokaw.
Maybe Delvin's out already. We haven't heard from him in 2 days.
Hap. And then the top shelf, that bottom.
Where? Yeah. Yes, sir, that's it. That's the remedy.
Be careful lifting it down. It's probably all there is in the whole place.
If we can only get it to Brokaw's ship before he...
Where's the cow?
It's Brokaw, but he's got a blast gun.
Stay right where you are, all of you.
Commander, the blast smashed the bottle. The medicine was gone.
That's right, Cadet. There's no more anywhere on Venus. Now, each minute, you'll get more and more tired. More full of despair.
Oh,
And now, Carol, you'll have to help me. If you fail, you'll see your friends lose their vitality, their will to live. Eventually, they will be too tired to breathe. Their hearts too weary.
Oh, stop it, Bob. I'll help you, but just save them.
Yeah. First, I'll lug them up where there'll be no more trouble, where there'll be no insects to help them.
I see the wasps got in a few good jabs, Brokaw. Your face and neck are all swollen.
You'll pay for those things, don't worry.
I suppose they're pretty painful.
Yes, if it's any satisfaction to you. But it's nothing serious.
That's good. And you won't mind another sting or two.
What are you talking about?
I think there's a wasp in your collar.
Yeah, he's crawling up towards your neck.
Where?
Hey, he's a big one,
Where?
too. Hey, look out, he's buzzing around.
I'll get him.
You know, Commander, if there had been a wasp on Brokaw, you sure would have spotted it.
Pick up the gun, Hap. We'll take Brokaw to his ship. All right, on your feet.
You tricked me, Corey. But it won't do you any good. You're sick, and you'll get sicker, and nothing can save you.
We'll give you a brainograph test, and we'll know where you've hidden the remedy.
Why, there's a ship coming in. It's going to land.
That's right, Corey. And you plus that Pfister ship, my partner. You can't get away.
Stay here in the lab till Pfister gets out of the ship, then we'll grab him.
You won't get him, Commander. He'll be on guard.
Why should he be?
Because I warned him. After you two broke away from me, I went straight to the spaceophone and put on the automatic warning signal.
What are you trying to give us?
Just wait and see. Pfister knows something is wrong here, so he won't take any chances.
I'm afraid he's right, though. Pfister could barricade himself in the ship and hold us off till the sickness took effect.
Yes, you're licked, Corey. You might as well face it.
Buzz, the hatch is opening in that ship that just landed.
Perhaps see if you can tell what Feister's going to do, but don't let him see you.
Yes, sir. Feister's smart. He wouldn't come close enough for you to trap him.
Commander, it's Gelwin.
Gelwin?
Yes, sir. He's running toward us, and he's all alone.
Galvin, Feister's ship? That's impossible.
Take a look, Brokaw. Recognize him?
It is Galvin.
Come on, McLeod. Get moving, Brokaw.
Hi, Gelwin.
Commander.
Happy.
I'm certainly glad to see him. I was afraid I'd never see you again.
The feeling was mutual. Commander, you've got him. You've got Brokaw. Yes, but until you showed up, I wasn't sure we could hold him.
His partner Feister is locked up in the ship. And by the way, the Terra 5 is on Jupiter's third moon where Feister hit it. That's where I caught him. Commander, you and Happy look pretty sick. I suppose we do. Brokaw planning to expose us to the weed of the ship. We've got to get treatment right away.
That's just the trouble. There isn't a drop of the remedy on me.
Yes, there is, Happy. There's a supply aboard Feister's ship.
Wow, Gelwin, you're sure a lifesaver.
Certainly are. I don't know how we can repay you.
It'll be easy. Just turn Brokaw over to me.
No, Commander, no. Don't do it. You caught me. I'm your prisoner.
Well, what's the matter, Brokaw? Don't you want to go back to Tolarma? We'll make a trade, Gelwin. You turn Feister over to me, and you can take Brokaw.
It's a deal. Come on, Commander. You and Happy better get some of that remedy into you right away.
Okay. But I feel a lot better knowing that the people in your solar system and in ours are safe in Brokaw.
Same here. Uh-oh. Brokaw, you better watch it. There's a wasp on the back of your neck.
Ah, you fool. How many times do you think you can trick me with that stupid lie? Get it off me. Get it off.
It's all right. It's flying away.
Oh, my neck. Oh, the pain is terrible.
I feel for you, Brokaw. You know, it sure must be awful when a pain in the neck gets a pain in the neck.
What's new?
Nestle's new.
Nestle's what?
Coconut.
Nestle's luscious new coconut bar. That's for me. It's such a superb flavor combination. Thick, sweet, smooth milk chocolate and fresh toasted coconut. So delicious and such fun to eat because it gets crisper with every bite. Just talking about it makes my mouth water.
Me too, Commander. Whenever I think about that sensational, creamy, rich, crisp-eaten coconut bar, I get completely carried away. Can't concentrate. Can't work. And there's only one cure.
What's that?
Why, eating a Nestle's coconut bar, of course. That fixes everything.
Good idea, huh? Let's all have one. Space Patrollers, you'll really go for Nestle's wonderful coconut bar.
Smoking Rocket, you'll go for all Nestle's delicious chocolate bars, and especially our new favorite, coconut. Because, you know, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
You can say that again, Hap.
Gladly. Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston. Produced and directed by Larry Robertson. Executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Virginia Hewitt, Ken Mayer, Bela Kovach, and Isa Ashdown. Dick Tufeld speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Eveready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast for Armed Forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood.
This is ABC Radio Network.